Welcome to Story Mode, a video game podcast. I'm your host, Jesse, the ghost of 2022 Monroe. And I'm joined tonight by the effervescent Kyron, Bill Clinton Kid Morrison, the ever-sensual Joel, 90s television distortion McDonald, and the constantly moist Simon. Stop the votes, Evans. How we doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Stopping some votes, you know.
Lads, I am bringing the last episode of 2022 energy.
Wow.
Coming at you fast, coming at you hot, coming at you like a bazooka, like a laser beam. How we doing?
Very
Damn
moist.
fine. Damn fine.
See, you guys are like, Jesse hasn't been able to put a sentence together properly for the last 5 to 10 minutes, and he's coming in with some volcanic energy.
It's hot, baby. It's hot, and I'm loving it.
Hot.
I'm here
Guys,
for it.
It's the last episode of the year. It's the Story Mode Gaming Award 2022. Yeah, so you gotta come in hot. For those listening at home, you don't get to hear, as loud as they are, my Hawaiian shirt, Joel's beautiful. How would you describe it, Joel?
It's like the test pattern for old, the 90s television, like where it's like that the color. That's what it is. It's called. I think it's got the.
You know when you're on like public transport, you look at the pattern on the
Kind of,
seat,
yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is that?
No, it's
that.
literally like it's the circle test pattern with all the different colors and the black and white lines and stuff.
It looks like a screenshot from Paula Abdul's video clip with Scat Cat.
Yeah, we stick together. We go together.
Opposites attract. Apparently,
yeah.
I reckon they had sex there too.
They did. They
Cat and Paula
fucked.
Abdul.
They absolutely fucked.
A cat, surprisingly, did it doggy.
Whoa.
You learn something new every day.
Woo!
Oh dear.
Meow.
Fucking Christ. Kyron, you've had a day today. Has your day become better or worse since jumping onto the call?
Look, it's early days, Jesse. I would say it's better, but look, it could go badly.
Oh, yes. Oh, it may, and it certainly almost will.
Absolutely will.
And Simon, I've been trying to do impersonations of you for the last half an hour.
Yeah.
Have any of them been close?
Not a single one, to be honest with you, mate.
Without making a lisp joke, because that's the well that you dive into, you gremlin. Okay.
The low-hanging fruit.
Impersonation of me. I can do impersonation of me. Hello, I'm Jesse. Hello.
Perfect. No notes. Nailed it.
My partner can confirm that is my impersonation for everyone.
I bet.
Hello, I'm Captain America.
I've known you a very short amount of time, and I feel pretty confident in agreeing with that. Like,
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Joel.
Yeah.
Got any craft
Nailed
beers
it.
here, love?
Nailed it. Yeah, that's it. Just take one like stereotypical element from that person, and then put a Cockney British accent over the top.
If it works,
But
it
a
works.
really shit
Send
Cockney
it out.
accent as well.
Send it out. That's it.
Look, like I said, last episode of the year, I'm leaving it all out on the court, okay? You know when you see those marathon runners and they're running away and they're pissing, they're shitting, and they're sweating, and they're coming and they're doing all sorts of things? That's me right now, okay?
I think you've been watching a different type of marathon, to be honest, mate.
Have you seen the marathon runners who's like, oh, like I can't walk properly on my legs? I'll just stop.
I'm juicing too hard. I can't run anymore. I've never heard that.
Joel, you trying to run and come? Have you tried to run and come before, sir?
I cannot say that I
Because
have.
I mean, you're speaking pretty profanely to those
All right,
to the
that's
run
fair.
and comers.
That's fair.
I thought it was only...
I think
I
they're
thought it
called
was
the
come and then run.
No, they're called the come and goers.
Well done. You've left the best to last. That is
Here, please.
legitimately one of the best jokes I've had in this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Pack it up.
45
Game of
odd
the year, that
episodes.
joke.
I've peaked. I've peaked.
Well,
I now should have retire.
You have given me a bit of a segue there. We are going to be discussing our game of the year. We're going to be through our Story Mode Gaming Awards. So we're going to be going through best performance, best indie, best score / music, hidden gem, biggest surprise, and of course the game of the year, the coveted Story Mode Game of the Year. We'll be giving an award to the third, second, and first place in that category. But before we do that, I want to go around the room. Joel, we're going to start with you. 2022 in a nutshell. gaming, personally, how you gonna remember 2022?
I don't know. It felt like this year felt like the years where, and I'm not going to get out here and be like, COVID's over, because it's fucking not. But like,
no, I just recovered from it.
It never existed.
Right.
I might have to get it.
It has affected /
Pandemic,
is affecting
baby.
2 of the 4 people in this call right now. But like, it's I
We
think
all got it right this year.
twice. Yeah,
I had it
once
back
on
in
my
Easter.
birthday.
It sucked.
Yep.
Shit, Joel's going for the platinum.
Yeah. I just got a survivor difficulty mode to go left.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
all
think if you
good.
get it 3 times, then you unlock your superpowers.
Oh,
And
shit.
then you should be all right.
2023's New Game Plus, baby.
the game turns from a turn-based strategy into a first-person shooter. It's like that's the turning point. Spoilers, unfortunately. But no, I feel like it's in terms of video games, it feels like the year where all the stuff that was supposed to happen in the last 2.5 years, has started to filter out this year, and it's been great, but it's also been terrifying, and it also makes me absolutely mortified for January onwards next year in terms of like scheduling and things. But there's been some absolute amazing stuff across the board. Like it's been a wild year of things, good and bad, I guess, in the games industry. But in terms of the games themselves, there's been some absolute corkers, like absolute corkers. So yeah, I think it's been a pretty good year for video games.
Simon, what are your thoughts?
Look, I'm pretty much in full agreement with Joel. I think, yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff that was delayed due to COVID, finally make its way through. But at the same time, I feel like my perception on games has changed a bit this year because I haven't played many brand new releases. And the few that I have been mostly indie games. And there has been a few indie games in particular that have held my attention throughout the majority of the year. And that's it. Like, that's all I've played. Is like...
You have majorly latched onto a few games this year, and I've liked it.
Yeah,
It's been good
there's
to
a
see.
few which have just absorbed me. And I'm like, I love you. And I'm very happy with that as well. Like, I'm not complaining in the slightest. It's just been really good. But that's the thing. I've missed out on, some of the slightly bigger games like Bayonetta 3, which I love the Bayonetta franchise. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I fucking love Xenoblade. But I just haven't had that interest to go, yeah, I'm going to go pick that up and invest all my time into that because I've got 4 indie games to sink all of my time to instead. And that's been my year. It's just these fun little games popping up instead. And I love it.
Yep.
Kyron, how about you?
Yeah, look, again, to be absolutely just an echo chamber, I'm in the same boat, really, as Joel and Simon. Although I do have to say this year that it's not to say it isn't like this every other year, but I really felt like this year the indie quality was just really good. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, even in my top 5 and top 10 list, there's, again, I don't want to seem like I shun the indies, but it's hard to fit all types in. But yeah, there's a lot more indies in my list this year than previous years.
Yeah,
Well,
I had to cut out a couple from my list. I was like, nah, I've kind of too many indies.
What I found out this year, so during COVID, I think a lot of the AAA and even AA games were put to the side because development just halted. It couldn't be done. And we saw a few games get rushed through and they suffered for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was understandable that a lot of developers thought they'd wait till, I guess the tail end of 2022 or especially the first half of 2023. I was putting together some notes for, when we come back, we'll do our what's new in 2023 kind of episode. It's fucked.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that episode. I think we skip it. And again, we'll talk about Avatar 2, The Way of Water, Jimmy Cameron's magnum opus. I'm completely open to that. I had to put it in early. But what I've liked about this year, it's been a really nice transitional period where I've played some of the best indie games I've ever played. I'm going to just put it out there. Cult of the Lamb. I adore that. And I love so many good games that are coming out of Australia. Not just Australia, but fucking Melbourne, the best city in Australia. Okay.
Yep.
But at the same time, we've also got AAA games. 2 of the best games I've ever played came out this year in God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring. They will go down as I will remember these games in 10 years' time. Look, the last time that happened was 2018 with Horizon and God of War. But previous to that, I can't remember another year where 2 games came out and they just blew me away. And they stuck with me. What year?
Was it? Hang on. Let me just double check. Persona 5. What year was that? Was that 2017?
2017.
Is that the
Look,
same year?
Persona 5
No.
was a great...
No, that was 2016, I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
2016 in
2016
Japan.
Yeah, 2017 for us.
Persona 5 was a great 2 hours. I put into it. That's fine.
That hurt
Okay.
here. It really did.
Like you said before, the best 7 out of 7, 7 out of 10 game. Award
Oh
Persona
my
5.
God.
I'm taking all of this right,
Oh my
and
God.
it's charging me up for Ragnarok.
It's fueling, yeah. Karen's powering up. I love it.
Kyron's going to be your Ragnarok.
And from that comment, from those comments, Jesse, I'm sending him energy spirit bomb style. Like, I'm just like,
coming in.
I'm
I'm coming in.
take him down.
No, I think this has been I would love future years to be a lot like this one in the gaming space, where you have a really healthy mix of AAA titles that blow you away, those AA games that kind of come out of the blue, like, okay, that's better than I expected, and then those indies and surprises. Like, you got surprise games like Marvel Snap and Vampire Survivors. No one would have picked them to be as good as they were or as big as they were. Then you got indies like, Call of the Lamb. I started playing Signalis today. Kyron, I apologize for waiting so long. I get it. I understand.
So good.
Okay? I feel like for those who've watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia, when Frank sees not Dennis, Rob McElhenney's character, Mac, do the dance in the last season.
Oh,
and
my
he's like, I
God.
understand. That's how I felt. Like, I clicked. Also, what a beautiful episode.
I think too, like saying about that, the fact that like a lot of people, like a lot of outlets and things like that are sort of having that conversation of game of the year stuff at the moment, and it is like a very healthy conversation between things like God of War, Ragnarok, and Elden Ring, and it's nice to have those years where it's not like a clear winner, where it's just like, well, that's the winner, like that's the game of the year.
Any
like,
other year, these games would have won easily.
Yeah.
Walked away with it, but we're going to have a very robust discussion at the end of this episode. Of course, we're going to be going through the Story Mode Gaming Awards. The way we're going to do this, we're going to go through category by category, talk about our nominees. We just went around the room, put together a list of our standouts for the year. Of course, there are dozens of games and names and individuals that haven't made our list but have still been absolute standouts. Putting together these lists, collating them, hurt. There are so many people I want to give a nod to, games that deserve to be on a list, but we had to narrow it down. This podcast will go for 5 hours. Hey, you know what? It still could. Much like Avatar 2. Sorry, Joel. I'm just twisting that knife like 360 right now.
my gosh.
But let's kick it off with a little award for best performance. Our nominees are... Can somebody give me a drum roll? Beautiful. Christopher Judge as Kratos, God of War Ragnarok. Danielle Nicole Bisutti, Freya, God of War Ragnarok. Harry McIntyre as Noah from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Fiona Renee as Jay from We Are OFK. Manning Gage as Marissa Marcel from Immortality. Controversially, Jennifer Hale, Bayonetta 3. Or Bayonettas, I may say, Bayonetta 3. And Richard Schiff as Odin from God of War. Just before we start discussing this, the fact that I didn't put in Sunny as Atreus or blanked in his name. What are the dwarfs' names?
Oh, Brock
Yeah.
and Sindri's,
Sindri.
Sindri.
Okay,
Yeah,
not getting into God of War spoilers here. We are going to do a God of War episode. It will be delayed, but I don't give a shit. We need to discuss the game.
Yep.
Sindri was incredible in that game. Absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, we had to give it to Judge and Schiff. But let's go from the top. Christopher Judge as Kratos.
I mean, what more needs to be said?
How did he top
Yeah.
2018? Now, also, heads up for all dear listeners or people at home watching us on twitch.tv/StormModeAUS. there will be minor spoilers to this game because I do want to mention one thing here. And I feel there's a really, really nice touch in this game. It's very well written. Did you notice he only says boy once in the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And when he disobeys him directly?
Yeah. Yeah.
When he says it, it is a gut punch.
Yeah.
Because he's lost faith in him at that point.
Exactly.
And it
Karen,
is very, very powerful.
I think I messaged you, Kyron, when that happened, when I got that moment. I was like, "Oh my god!" The first time he says it, and yeah, you're right. It's the only time he says it in the entire game, and it's it has so much weight to it, especially considering it became like a bit of a joke, a fun joke,
yeah,
and a
100%
meme, and
a meme.
Yeah, but like to bring it back around and give it weight and meaning again was like, whoa! And there were a few things that they sort of like call back to, like moments from the first game as well, that I can think of off the top of my head. But they do the same thing where it's just like, oh wow, like, and you say how can he top 2018? I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's, his performance is incredible, but like the story and writing behind it and the direction of what they were doing for this game and what they were trying to say, I think is also something that needs to sort of factor into it, because I think that's how they top it. It was just a fantastic team firing on all cylinders and just, delivering this product that was phenomenal. Like, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, like on that note, as someone who hasn't played any of Ragnarok, all I've seen have been, trailers and, a few of those key moments sprinkled in. There's one part in particular that sticks in my mind, where Atreus says, "You don't understand," and he responds with, "I don't understand, and yet still I follow." And it's like
there's like a fragility to his performance.
Yeah,
that I've never seen in Kratos before. The way that they have dealt with so in 2018's God of War, it's basically Kratos realizing that emotions are a thing. Because he is a robot, and there are flashbacks in this game that actually show how much of a robot he was. He was broken. He was trained to not have these emotions.
Yep.
In this one, he is so comfortable with them, and he's able to express them without like. It's so weird that how Kratos and Christopher Judge is a major part of why this is such a beacon against toxic masculinity. Would you like? Recently went back and I was watching a few scenes from the old God of War games. I loved him. I absolutely loved him. Completely different character though nowadays.
Of course,
he hasn't just become a good person. He's become a great person who's open and honest, and he's able to point out his flaws and his weaknesses and his fears.
To sort of adapt.
Judge with such confidence and like conviction in his voice.
And also, like Christopher Judge as well. Like I haven't seen much of the Game Awards. I haven't sort of set the time aside to go through it all. But one of the few things that I have seen was Christopher Judge's acceptance speech, and just the emotion in that alone. And I'm like, what a dude! Like what an absolute top lad. Christopher Judge, one of the lads, absolutely should play Kratos in the live action.
Oh, hello, Simon. He's just one of the lads, eh?
He is. He's a top fucking lad, that man.
Top fucking lad, eh?
Oh, look out. Here comes Christopher Judge. Hello, I'm Christopher Judge.
Hello, old Kratos.
That's a perfect Christopher Judge impression. Love it.
Oh,
and
boy.
We're going to kill Odin, in it.
Hello, boy.
Wow. Karen, what did you think of our performances just then?
Look, I think you were nearly as good as Christopher
Brother
Judge.
4. Nearly.
Nearly. We got there.
You fell a bit short.
We got
What did you
workshop a
think
bit more.
of old Judgy?
Oh, I mean, I think he hit it out the park in God of War Ragnarok. But like, as you said, it's really hard to talk about some of the aspects where he really nails it without spoiling some incredible moments in this game. But needless to say, his performance is just like, it blew me away every time.
Well,
just every new sequence.
As I mentioned before, we could easily put every single actor from God of War Ragnarok.
Easily.
But we will skip across to Danielle Nicole Bizzuti. I'm definitely pronouncing that name wrong, I apologize. Played Freya. there is a part at the start of the game. You're being chased by Freya, who clearly has vengeance for you at the moment. And she yells at Kratos. And it is the most heartfelt, like, you felt that.
Yeah.
And it was one word. And you could hear the pain of a mother who lost a son in it. And it, like floored me.
Yeah.
They're Christopher Judge and Danielle Nicole Bisutti are both like phenomenal throughout the whole game. But like, I think whereas Christopher Judge's performance like ascends in the third act, I think the start of the game, the first act with Freya is incredible. There's a scene with won't go into details, but there's a scene with she has with another character with Atreus, and it's like, holy shit, incredible. Like,
I just wish they let her spread her wings more in the general gameplay dialogue.
Yeah.
Because she's a wolf when she's talking in the cutscenes. But during the just general gameplay, really soft-spoken and just doesn't have the same kick. And I understand because it's all like context sensitive and stuff like that, it just didn't have the punch. But a character who had the punch, I think, in every single scene he was in, just sticking on God of War for the moment, was Richard Schiff as Odin. Very interesting take on Odin. Kyron, what do you think of Richard Schiff?
Oh, good. I mean,
Schiff.
Took him for like, mob boss sort of direction. It was really interesting take on Odin.
Yeah, he was a character that would have felt right at home in something like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad or something like that.
Or Crime Boss Rock A City.
Absolutely, yeah, with Michael Madsen. It's and Vanilla Ice.
Friend of the show.
Yeah,
Kim Basinger, friend of the show.
Yeah, he was slimy and greasy. There are layers to that slimy and greasiness as well. And then I think where things end up is, wow, like he just puts in this fucking masterclass of a performance as well. And phenomenal acting from that very first scene that you see him in, which I won't say where or when or how or what. But like from that scene,
minor spoilers go for it.
Again, come on, like it's very early in the game.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm going to say. It's very early in the game. Like Odin shows up within the first couple of hours.
You know what I love about that?
Wow.
Like for memory, and I try to stay away from a fair bit of the initial marketing of the game, but we all knew what Thor looked. We knew Thor from the ending of 2018.
Yeah.
Yes, quote unquote secret ending, and then Thor was a big part of the marketing because everyone's like, oh, fat Thor. No, terrifying Thor. Holy
absolutely.
Yeah.
We saw Odin, but not much was made of him.
No.
So when he steps into the room in the what I've called the Inglorious Bastards milk moment at the start of the game, the conversation, and he comes in and he's that slimy businessman who just takes control of the room. Like you have a room of, again, minor spoilers here, Kratos, Thor, and Atreus, and Mimir. 4 very powerful people. Well, 3.5 very powerful people. I'll watch that show, 3.5 Men.
Fuck.
And he takes ownership of that room instantly. He runs the place.
And the fact that
the power in his performance was incredible. And then you got that real like terrifying side of him, like that quietly terrifying moment where he didn't have to show you his power for you to know how powerful he is, purely just from his words and how he was performing.
Yep.
But then you also get to see his, not such his weakness, but his curious side, I guess, later in the game, as he wanted to discover things.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating angle to take.
And I love how that character is introduced. There's no big fanfare or anything like that. He's just like, Thor's there, and then suddenly Odin's there, and you're like, wait, what? Are we okay? This is where we're starting.
It was a really fun way to rip that Band-Aid off as well, because you were playing the game being like, all right, I know that Thor's going to show up early, but man, I wonder when we're going to meet Odin. And then just to do it like that, I thought, and to have him come in and just sort of dominate that entire scene was just incredible.
Yeah, straight to business. Yeah, incredible stuff.
Now, Karen, this one's for you mainly because you've played the game and this was your nominee. Harry McIntyre as Noah in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Can you tell me a bit about that performance?
Yeah, look, it's so... one of the things I've always appreciated about the Xenoblade games is they're selection of voice actors, and I'm not going to stand here and say that they're always the best. You know,
There is one standout that like I hate listening to.
I'm really curious. Which one is it?
Rex's English voice actor in
Yep.
Xenoblade 2. I
Absolutely.
cannot stand. Like, it was so bad I had to change the voiceover
fair.
to Japanese.
Well, you'd be happy to know
but-
that Noah's great.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I love Xenoblade 1's voice acting. I love most of the other voice actors in Xenoblade 2. Xenoblade X's voice acting, the bits of it that I remember, pretty fun. And everything that I've seen about Xenoblade 3's voice acting has also really stuck out to me. So, yeah, sorry, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt too much.
I had a feling you were going to say Rex because I'm right there with you. Nothing personal to the voice actor of Rex. But yeah, no, Harry McIntyre as Noah. It was one of those performances where I didn't think it was too stand out for a bit of a game. I thought it was doing a very good job. But I hit a particular chapter like just last week, and I knew it was sort of coming because I had seen people banding, like throwing around like chapter 5 and 6. When they were talking about the Game Awards, they were like, McIntyre would have deserved like a nod, and I was like, okay. Now again, I love the Xenoblade game, so I'm very curious to see what might make people say this. And having played it, it's actually pretty impressive how it's one of those, it's much like God of War where it's really hard to talk about why without spoiling it, but it's a very particular sequence, and God, how do I phrase it? It's basically it's when a character's at their lowest point, and he just absolutely drives it home with his performance in a way that no other Xenoblade game really has done. Not because I mean all the characters, every JRPG protagonist has like a low point, right? It's part of the comings and goings of that.
The hero's journey.
Yeah. But just the way that, Harry sold it to me in just like 1 or 2 scenes, I was just like, holy shit, I did not think I would come away from Xenoblade 3 feeling emotional from the performances rather than just like what I was watching happening on screen. But his performance was just so good that I was just like, no, I know when it comes down to votes, I know how this is really going to go. But I wanted to at least give him the nod because, his performance blew me away in that game. And he also sort of plays as like two characters that he sort of does, and it's cool.
Now, Simon, to throw this one to you, you were the big We Are OFK fan. I was a big fan of the songs, but I never played the game. Fiona Renee as Jay.
Yeah, so without again trying to avoid giving away too much. So We Are OFK is
I believe it's announced.
An
some respect.
an interactive biopic of the formation of We Are OFK as a band, and these characters are they're meant to be sort of like the gorillas in the sense that like they're not real people, but there's a real person behind each of these characters. And the character of Jay has some really just profound moments that made Fiona's voice acting just stand out, just next level for me. All of the voice actors in We Are OFK do a really good job. And
one of the things I've heard about the game is because there's 4 main characters, right? There's 4 people in the band.
Yeah,
and I've seen people online like they really connect with them. They're very personal
100%.
characters, and I guess that is definitely helped by the music. Because
yeah, absolutely.
And we'll get to the music about from this game later on. It was very good.
Yeah,
very good.
And it's one of those things where it's like because you do get sort of because it is a biopic and you do sort of get this little insider look to sort of how things are going behind the scenes and the interpersonal relationships and the drama and stuff like that. These characters do feel really relatable. But yeah, I just think Fiona Renee as Jay, she just knocked it out the fucking park. And the standard in that game is already really damn high, and she just gets a few moments which just eclipse everything else.
I've seen like bits of the game, I've seen like the film clip stuff. What instrument does Jay play?
So Jay is the producer for the band.
Okay, yep. Okay, I know what it is now. Cool.
Yeah, so she does
I quite
mixing and stuff, and yeah, I love her character. I love all of the characters, but I really, I don't know. I appreciate her character. I appreciate the representation of I guess, some of the struggles that she goes through. There's a part where there's a bit of a falling out, and she's kind of painted to be a bad guy, but it's not true, and she's just doing what she thinks is best for her, and all this sort of stuff, and it's really good, and it plays out really well. Again, it's really relatable, and yeah, I don't know. Again, just Fiona's performance just really stands out to me.
But moving on to our next nominee, none of us have played Immortality, have we?
I've played a bit of it.
Okay.
For me personally, it is going to go down as the
hours.
biggest miss personally of me for the year, because I've heard nothing but incredible things about this game. Whether you love it or like it or not, what they've done here is incredible. So I do need to go back and play this and Plague Tale. But Man Engage's performance as Marissa Marcel, I've seen non-stop people talking about this, because she basically performed 3 movies worth of dialogue. And for that alone, even though we haven't played the game, respect has to be put in the name.
On top of that, she's also, so there's scenes and stuff. So basically, the idea of Immortality is you're going through, it's a Sam Barlow game from her story. You're like going through like clips related to 3 movies that, as far as you can tell, didn't get a theatrical release or anything like that. And you're going through like clips from the movies, behind the scenes stuff, and then like interviews with this character. I can't remember her name, but and you're sort of watching these things, and the way that you transition.
With this Madden's character?
Yeah. It's
Marissa
Marcel.
Oh, sorry, Marissa Marcel. Marissa.
Yeah. So the way you unlock new scenes essentially is like you can pause at any moment and rewind and all that sort of stuff. But when you pause, you can actually select particular items that are highlighted in that scene. So say there's, I don't know, a candlestick in a scene, right? You could, if it's highlighted, you can click on that and it will take you to another scene or another clip that will have something to do with a candlestick or something adjacent. So you unlock bits and pieces and you sort of fill in the gaps and see all this sort of stuff. There's another element to it that I sort of started diving into before I stopped playing it, and I haven't gone back to it. But I played a few hours of it.
Once I'm done with Signals, it's probably my next game.
That sounds really interesting as a concept.
It's on Game Pass as well. And it's also on Netflix.
And Netflix.
Yeah. So I think the Netflix thing will be really good for it. I will say this, from what I've heard, don't play it on PC unless you're using a controller.
That's where I tried to play it, and that's why I bounced off of it, I think.
Yeah. If you're going to play this, use a controller or try the Netflix one, because I think the Netflix thing, if it's doing it the way that I feel like it will be, which is like being able to scrub through things, I think will work really well, because there's a particular element to the game that doesn't work super well with the mouse and keyboard, from what I've heard, and I could see that happening. But anyway, so she's not only playing these characters in these 3 movies, she's playing the character of this quote unquote real life person, Marissa.
She plays the actor. She's playing the actor acting.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's insane. Like, and it's through like different time periods.
For people listening at home, Simon just farted. Go on, Joel.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's through different time eras as well. So
get dunked on. Hello, I'm Simon. I did a fart.
I did a whoopsie.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Oh no, I've gone and fucked it, haven't I?
I fucked it, haven't I? Yeah, so like it's over like multiple time periods as well. So it's like starting off with her sort of entering the industry, and then middle of her career, and then towards the end as well. And it goes from like mid to late 60s through to like early 90s, I guess, in a way. And yeah, so I've heard some people, like, again, like you said, Jesse, whether people love it or hate it, the game itself, I think what it has to say, from what I can glean from it already, it could be pretty divisive. But I don't think I don't think you can argue that her performance is incredible. Like, it's what kept me going. Like, I sat for 3 hours one day when I was home by myself, and I was like, oh, I'll have a look at Immortality. And it was 3 hours just like watching clips, because that's what this game is. You're just watching clips and then trying to unlock new things to sort of piece together what's going on, which may or may not happen, but I was just enthralled by her character, and her performance needs to be highlighted in some way. Yep.
Moving on to a controversial pick. That's right. We go for cheap clicks. We go for cheap clicks. If you want to give us a cheap click, we're on Spotify, iTunes. We're also on social media at Story Mode AUS. Jennifer Hale as Bayonetta's multiple in Bayonetta 3. This is my
Jennifer
controversy.
Hale?
Jennifer Hale? What?
Whoa! Crazy!
I'm
Original
stumped.
voice actor came out, said they didn't pay me enough, yada yada yada. Look, let's not focus on that. That is not the focus of this nomination. Jennifer Hale put in a damn good performance. Now, Kyron and Simon, I believe you both played Bayonetta.
I have.
too.
Oh, sorry, Joel and Kyron. Sorry.
I played a good chunk of it. Yeah.
All right. Tell me about the performance.
I mean, you played more, Joel, so...
I mean, look, it's regardless of the person behind the voice, it was big shoes to fill, because she is such a Bayonetta's voice and Bayonetta as a character is very
iconic.
exactly yeah,
And she's got like this real cheekiness to her that's like
yeah.
it's just a hair shy of like looking directly in the camera and being like, eh?
I'm pretty sure at least a couple of points, she does
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know
full
she does in the
spider
first.
lens.
Yeah, 100% does in the first two games. But
Yeah.
my point being that like the humor itself, and I guess that the acting of Bayonetta as a character, just as a whole, is kind of like it's just shy of essentially constant fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Jennifer Hale, as you said, has got pretty big shoes to fill. How does she manage?
I think. So the thing is, I think it's nice to see, and she's had fun before with like characters like Rivet in Ratchet and
Just
Clank.
Rivet.
Oh god, she was amazing.
Rivet?
as Rivet.
Yeah, she's Rivet.
Yeah, she's Rivet.
She was
she's
ace as Rivet.
awesome. Like,
Can we give her
Jennifer Hale
retroactively?
is
I like
Jennifer
think
Hale is
it's,
super so much.
yeah, it's nice to see her when she gets to sort of like, take the serious video game character chains off and like have a bit of fun. And I think she does a phenomenal job. I think it was, like I said, big shoes to fill stepping into this, but I think she knocks it out of the park, honestly. And if it means she's, a better person, then sure.
Well,
if she's
Yeah.
if the gun heels fit.
Exactly. If she's not going to be a complete trash fire of a human, it's fun. It's okay. Yeah. All right. But yeah, I think big shoes to fill, big gun heels to fill, and I think she does a very, very, very good job. Very commendable job.
Now, dear listeners, if you're wondering how we're doing the voting at home, it's the voting between us four. We have a little poll system set up on Google Sheets. Thank you, friend of the show, Google. So Karen, Simon, Joel, pop your votes in, and we're going to move through to our next round. At the end of all the rounds, we'll go through our winners, of course, and have a big fanfare. And if I'm mixing the podcast, who knows? Maybe I'll put music behind it, like they're trying to get Christopher Judge off stage. Who knows? Let's move on to what is a very, very, very strong category this year. Best
it's
indie.
loaded.
Holy shit, guys. Okay, we have Signalis, Chained Echoes, Tunic, We Are OFK, Vampire Survivors, Stray, and Melbourne's own Cult of the Lamb. And because I put a weird emphasis on it, let's start with Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Guys, Cult of the Lamb, I haven't sunk my teeth into an indie like this since Hades.
Yes.
I put all of you clowns into my game, and I sacrifice all you motherfuckers, okay?
Thank
Fair.
you.
I remember
Fine by
when
me.
I first started playing it, I didn't realize that it was going to be what it was. They had to sacrifice people, your followers, in order to level up. So I started naming them after people I knew. One of my first characters I named was Sophie, my partner. Anyway, Joel, don't know why your character was flirting with her. Don't ask questions. Okay? Don't ask questions. But then she also wanted another one of my mates to eat poop. So she was a complex character, like she is in real life.
Layers. Layers.
She then I try to get it back on side. I'm like, no, none of this is Joel business. I know he's in a cool jacket, but come on, I got a cool white shirt on. So I thought I would give her what I thought was going to be like a blessing and make her my second in command. Nope. It wasn't. I thought I was going to like elevate her to another state of being. She floated up to the heavens and came back down as a bag of bones, and we all ate her.
Yep. I think the best like comparison I've seen, or the best description of this whole idea for all the followers in Calls of the Lamb, I think it was Greg Miller saying, like, the moment I stopped treating them as like Animal Crossing villages and I started treating them as cattle.
They're resources. That's all they are.
That's it. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, of course it is. They are just there to help your own personal.
Yeah, and look,
like,
everyone involved with Story Mode Gaming. If you saw my attitude change towards you guys after I played the game, I do apologize.
Yeah, it's fine.
Needed.
My sweet cattle. I was going to say I'll milk you all. Maybe it is the last episode. Who knows? After party.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. But I remember I brought Sophie back twice. I resurrected her twice. I went and sent her out for wood once. She came back and was like, oh, I got 3 wood. Also, I died. Like, what do you mean?
Nice.
I got so invested in it. Look, the combat stuff kind of sucks, but the town management and the way it's that cult. I love cults. Out of context, that's weird. I love cults. Okay.
Welcome to Story Mode, a cult.
No,
hey, I am here of my own free will.
I love cults. Cults are all right. If you get approached by a cult, join them. They know. Okay, they know the truth.
Like the leader.
Yeah, I get really into the cult stuff. I hope the sequel focuses more on just the town building and the cult management stuff. Again, the combat was just, oh, this is a cherry on top. It's a cherry on top, but the cherry is a little bit soft. Okay, it's not the fresh cherry on top.
Look,
it was fine.
This is the twin stick roguelike lover in me, but like even it has to be pretty bad for me to like go. Ugh. And I found it like engaging and fun, and I would spend probably equal amounts of time like trying to run through different dungeons and stuff like that, and complete different quests and collect different resources that I needed to get back to building out my cult as well. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I can totally see why it's not a lot of people's favorite part of the game, but I still really enjoyed it. I think
it was just in comparison to, because we all got addicted to Animal Crossing in 2021.
2020.
2020.
We all got addicted to that, and we played it in hyperdrive because of a little there was like an illness or something. I don't know. It was
some sort of like novel
coronavirus. Yeah, nothing.
And you could make the same argument for like having a higher standard for roguelike, top-down roguelike games from that same year, because Hades launched in full release that year as well. So a lot of people, that was the roguelike that sort of clicked with them. So now that's the bar. And the people who like roguelikes, that's still the bar because they did it really fucking well. But
I mean, it's super giant. Also, never miss.
Just want to point out as well, this game does get the Australia bonus.
Oh,
that is true. That 100%.
100%. And then
can I tell you, hey, other games, you want the Australia bonus? Move here.
It gets an added bonus. It gets an added bonus for us because it gets the Melbourne bonus. It gets the just down the road bonus. Yeah.
As the like only person in WA.
The only person is one person. He does the mining and surfs.
Yeah, literally, I'm the only person who lives in WA.
From birth.
Look, we have no.
You got me meth.
Basically, got no video game industry over here. So it also gets the Perth bonus.
Hey, you've got that go again.
We've got nothing.
Was it Broken Roads that comes out next year?
Broken Roads, I think.
I cannot wait for Broken Roads.
Yeah,
when that eventually comes out,
I'm barracking in that. Let's move on.
As soon as that comes out,
that'll become my personality when that comes out.
Speaking of games that became people's personality, Simon, Vampire Survivors, you're still playing it,
mate? The DLC dropped.
The now on mobile and with new DLC Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, the DLC came out, 3 days ago, and I finished it in 2.
Yeah.
This is a game that started. I think it came to my attention. So it came into early access like December, halfway through December. So about a year ago, actually, a little bit over a year ago. And it started blowing up a little bit from certain streamers and influencers, I think around February, March. And that's when I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll give it a go. It's like $5 Australian. Why not? What could possibly go wrong? 105
Inflation.
hours of my time later. And
Yeah.
I have...
What is wrong with you, you
Jesus.
sick fuck? You
Nah,
sick
nah,
fuck. Simon, I
nah,
love you, but you
mate.
sick motherfucker.
That
How can you
is-
put that much time into
That is
Vampire
more
Survivors?
time than I put in Xenoblade.
That's more time than I put into fucking Elden Ring.
That's
half my Elden Ring
Nah,
time.
Right.
Simon, good work, mate. Good work.
Thank you.
I'm on your side for this.
Yeah, 100%. Because this game is just fucking ace.
It's so
Talking
good.
about roguelikes, okay, I still don't really love roguelikes. I still kind of struggle with them. That barrier to entry is still there for me, despite how amazing Hades is. And Vampire Survivors having that sort of arcadey quality to it just
Simon,
makes
if you're
it...
trying to imply that Vampire Survivors is better than Hades, I will staple your dick to a cactus.
Simon, I'm on
Don't
your
be
side,
ridiculous.
but I don't know if I got.
Whoa, hang on. Right, what way to take things out of context there? All right?
I'm hosting
All right.
a podcast. I can do whatever the fuck I
Hear
want.
him out.
I'm mixing
Hear
it.
him out. All
I
right,
can
everyone,
cut all
hear
your
him
audio
out.
out if I want to.
Right. My point being that, don't get me wrong, again, Hades is like the platinum standard of games, let alone roguelikes, let alone indies. However, I still there is still it takes a lot more effort for me to get fully invested into roguelike games. However, Vampire Survivors having that sort of arcadey quality about it lowered that barrier of entry for me. Why I have spent so much time in it is because it's just one more run. It's just having that 30-minute cap on runs is so good for me, because with a good Hades run, like a good run in Hades, I don't know how long I'm going to be fucking playing that. That could
Yeah.
eat up loads of time. But having a hard 30-minute cap for Vampire Survivors makes me go,
So after 30
Fuck
minutes, that's when death comes and like cleans
and,
up.
and kills you. Yeah.
It's the end of the round.
Yeah.
It also too. It gives you like. On the flip side, it gives you that sort of adrenaline pumping moment of like, oh, I'm at 27 minutes. Shit's getting wild. I don't have much
Yeah.
health left. And you're like, I'm just gonna get through. I'm gonna hit that 30 minutes so I can check it off my list. Like, yeah, it's
It's great. It is
God,
really,
it's phenomenal.
really damn good.
Have you played it?
No, I have not. I have not played it.
All right, I'm gonna be. Look. I've seen people who losing their
I'm going to
mind
gift it
over
to
it,
on Steam.
and I actually understand people who are saying it's their personal game. But I completely get that. For me, I just didn't get it. I gave it a good go as well, because Simon, you kept going on about it, and it came to Game Pass. There was no reason not to play it. Best Gielan Daming. Fuck.
Nailed
best
it.
Gielan
Fucking
Gaming. God
nailed
damn
it.
it.
Best
Leaving it all the
Keelan.
court, boys.
Best
Leaving it all the
Keelan
court.
Gaming, yeah.
22. Boop.
Best Keelan.
Yeah.
Best Keelan goes to Simon. I tried playing on PC, and I'm like, okay, I get this. I did a few runs. I'm like, all right, this is too repetitive for me. And then I recently got on mobile, and I'm playing a little bit more on mobile than I had on PC, purely for the convenience of it. And I think it's a really cool game to come out free on PC.
Oh,
Yep.
The ads and stuff aren't intrusive. It is a
Unreal.
very, very cool port.
Absolutely.
So if you've played on PC, I highly recommend getting it. Again, it's free. But I
Going to the toilet
personally,
has never been more fun.
it's not. You don't know what I do in there. Masturbate. But again, you can play
Thanks for
Vampire
that.
Survivors one-handed, so you can still do whatever you
That
need
is
to.
also true.
The
You can
ungodly
do
sin,
both.
okay, that you do in there. I can't. I don't click with it. Speaking of games we don't click with, Kyron, tell me about Stray.
Stray is a game where you play as a cute
A
cat.
strained relationship with.
Look, my only beef with Stray is purely from the Game Awards, because I do like Stray. I think Stray is a really interesting game. The novelty of playing as a cat, I was so certain it was going to get old, but it didn't. Just like running
love
around
it.
doing little cat things like knocking shit off rooftops and just being a
Oh.
general menace was just, I'm like, you nailed it, guys. No, again, no notes, 10 out of 10. The part about Stray that really surprised me was like where the story actually went, and I did really like it, and the ending in particular I did enjoy as well.
Initially, yeah, but it's a lot more like existential than you would expect.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to play this
I
game
fell in
as
love
a
with the robots.
cat with a backpack. Yeah, the robot character. God, I love that little dude.
The atmosphere in that game is. It did Cyberpunk better than Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
It was like
It kinda did.
it was like Cyberpunk slums, but you felt the plight of each one of these robots, like
Yeah.
soulless beings.
And
But
I
they felt
made sure to-
alive. They felt important.
I made sure to take all the little CDs back to that little robot guitarist as well, and just like whenever he would play a song, just like curl up on the cushion next to him and just like chill out for a while.
Ah, love it.
Like immaculate vibes right there.
And just hearing your cat like meow and stuff like that, and even like there's nothing really in the way of combat, but there are escape sequences. Genuinely heart pounding. They were really, really fun. And for it to be the first big game to come out as part of the new PlayStation Plus revamp, Sony showing a lot of faith in the studio. Full credit to it. It was the zeitgeist for a month. It was the
yeah.
thing.
And honestly, one of the things I really appreciated about this game, and I'm so glad they went this direction, was just having the platforming not be full free control. Like just having it be like sort of point in the direction and press a button to just jump up. That was such a good choice. I'm so glad they did that and didn't make me like weirdly like just jump around as a cat. Like smart choice to do that.
All right, kicking it back to you, Simon. I mean, we've already spoken about this game, so probably not going to go about it too much more. We are off, as the French say. When this game came out, I remember we did an episode and you mentioned it. And you mentioned the songs and you're like, Jesse, go listen to them. And I remember listening to them and it's like, oh, this is like a poppier version of like Chiverches. Friends of the show, Chiverches. But they had like there's this, like the indie pop vibe to them. Really, really like it. What was the one about money? The song about money?
Well, there's Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold. Fool's Gold is incredible.
I'm pretty
Absolutely
sure
incredible.
Fool's Gold made like my top 5 most played songs of 2022 in my Spotify rewind, whatever the fuck it's called.
But like
Right.
we've had games that have tried to
Thank
have
you.
media beyond the game itself. So the one I always go back to is Quantum Break, where they try to have those like TV episodes in between the game, and it just the game wasn't good enough to hold your attention for the TV show. The TV show wasn't good enough to hold your attention for the game. With We Are Okay, a much more simple game, from my understanding, but like you were saying before, Simon, the characters are so engaging and the music's so good that you could listen to the music and want to play the game, or you could play the game and want to listen to the music. It was a really, really good relationship between both forms of media.
Yeah, so the way it works is when it first came out, it was episodic releases. So when you buy the game, I think there was 2 episodes available, and then the following week there'd be episode 3, following week episode 4, final week episode 5, and at the end of each episode you would get an interactive music video, loosely themed around whatever the theme of the episode was. So the first one being follow/unfollow was sort of the band kind of coming together and trying to create something fun and sort of figuring themselves out a little bit and seeing where that leads. And that's quite fun. That leads to quite a good poppy tune. The second episode, which is the one that ends with Fool's Gold, is a bit more subdued and it's a bit more of a melancholic story, deals with a little bit of heartbreak and disappointment and being let down. And it not only do the characters themselves really handle this well and are portrayed again really well, but then the music video rounding that out, that interactive music video, it's awesome. It does such a damn good job.
For an indie developer to do both things so well is a rare thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Look,
Jess, but
personally, it doesn't get my top votes in this category personally, but it's probably the indie I'm most impressed with.
It's
Yeah.
gameplay-wise, it plays like a visual novel. So if that isn't for you, then this game might not be for you. And that is something that, wholeheartedly I'll own up to. That I don't love visual novels, but these characters really drew me in. And the idea of it being like, oh, it's an interactive biopic with music videos and stuff, I was like, oh, this could be really cool. And it absolutely got me. It got its hooks into me, and I was waiting like every Friday. I'm like, yeah, cool, and ready for the next episode. That was wild.
Don't ask what my camera just did. I don't know.
Were you watching Avatar?
So for our dear listeners at home, Jesse's entire camera went blue, and then his camera flipped, and then Joel's camera flipped, and then froze, and then they both unflipped.
It was very confusing.
It's very weird.
Hey,
I
just
didn't
a
see
quote.
it,
Just a
but
quote.
I froze
Avatar.
the of it.
Just to quote Avatar again for
Fuck's
Joel's
sake.
sake. Joel, you have a strong heart, no fear, but stupid. That's Natiri from Avatar.
Memorable quote. Unforgettable.
Yeah, absolutely. Said by my third favorite character in Avatar.
Anyway,
Who the other
to
two
pull us
then?
back to video
Who
games.
the other two then, smart man? Jake and who else? Is it Dr. Augustine? Of course it is. Show some respect.
No, it's whoever
Oh my god.
is played by
Good
Zoe
Lord.
Saldana, because
That's Natiri, I think. I don't know.
We Are OFK is a game that I really
Yeah.
We are Avatar
get-
fans.
So that's what I was going to say. Jesse
yeah.
said that Immortality was the game that he most he wants to get to. I think this is the one that I want to get to most, but I haven't played.
Yeah,
this yet.
me too.
Have you guys listened to the
Same.
music from it?
No, I don't know if I want to because I want to play it.
Only follow
shouldn't-
unfollow.
So,
That's the only one I've listened
Joel,
to.
I
I think it's relatively safe to listen to without
Okay.
giving
Yeah.
away too much. I
Joel, you
would
and I-
recommend it still.
share a lot of music. Karen, you and I, not yet. But it will happen. But Joel, knowing from what I know of your music taste, you will really like music. Give Fool's Gold a go. Now,
All right.
Oh,
speaking of Kyron, I guess, we're coming to 3 games. I'm going to throw them all at you, okay? All of them.
All right.
Because you're the man.
All right.
Speaking of these. Tunic, Chained Echoes, and Play Signalis.
Play Signalis.
Let's start with Tunic, though.
Tunic is a game. So
Little Fox Boy.
Little Fox Boy. I remember I didn't play it, but I watched someone I was with play it at a PAX a few years back at the Xbox booth, and I was like, "Hello, this game I'm interested in." And then obviously a little novel coronavirus happened, and then I sort of forgot about it until it came out this year on Game Pass, if I remember correctly. Like originally it was on Game Pass, and that's when I started seeing more about how it played and what it was, and I booted up for a little bit on my PC, on PC Game Pass, and was just like, oh, I very much dig this game. Think like cute fox, like Zelda aesthetic with like, not to be too, rudimentary about it, but difficulty that's nearly akin to a From Software game. Like not super as punishing as that, but an emphasis on like difficulty and struggle over just sort of just like having a good time, just being a cute fox. It's like, no, this game is not afraid to kick your butt.
It's punishing.
I would say too that in terms of narrative, it sort of takes a leaf out of the From Software.
that was
like Soulsborne book as well.
So many games try to do what From Software do, but I feel like this is one of the first games that really got it on a level that From Software do with their narratives, where it really does come down to the player discovering it. And much like in From Software, you don't have to. You can just ignore it, and it's still a fun little game on a service level to just blast through. But if you do want to commit to learning it, like what it does with the manual and making that your way forward is just... I want to buy a physical copy of the game's manual because it's so good.
Yeah, because I played, I want to say probably 3/4 of this game. I want to finish it, but I fear if I go back to it, I'm going to have to start again because it's.
It'd be a really hard game to come back to, I think.
I'm about to restart Horizon. I know the feeling.
Yeah,
So-
like I don't normally click with like reading through item descriptions and stuff like that in Dark Souls, and I get why people love that. I totally do. It's just not for me as such.
But that's the good thing about this, though, isn't it? Because it's not really reading the descriptions. A lot of it is told
And
through
that's-
pictures.
Exactly. That's exactly, and it makes me sound like a basic bitch, but I am.
No,
so
but I
it's
get what you
fine.
mean,
But
though.
it feels more.
He is.
I am. Yeah, it uses that, takes that concept and sort of simplifies it down into a much more accessible form, and I think it's really, really commendable. And this is one of the games that I played a lot of and didn't finish, and I'm very sad that I didn't finish it because I wanted to see how things wrapped up with it. But yeah, unfortunately,
the way it wraps up is very clever, and I won't spoil it, but the credits are so sweet. And I know I'm not talking about score music. I think it's up to score music. I want to shout out this game's really chill soundtrack. It's got such a good soundtrack.
Although, one thing that I find just mildly entertaining is the fact that Tunic came out, everyone was talking about it for a while, and then Death's Door came out, and everyone was talking about that for a little while. And it's almost like the inverse. It's got the From Software aesthetic, but then plays more like a Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah.
And it does From Soft.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
I
guys,
don't know. I just appreciate that sort of dichotomy.
jump in with something. Now, if you're watching this on twitch.tv/StormRaidAUS, you may have seen me just have a moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should tell you what that moment was.
Oh boy.
It's last episode. It's going to get a little bit blue. Now, I just picked up, I have a copper mug. Apparently, it's really good for drinking a Moscow Mule out of, which is ginger beer and something or other. I'm currently drinking a gin and tonic out of it. And the thing about this mug is it collects a lot of condensation, ice-cold condensation. I'm a big fan of the quality of ice. The importance of ice in a good mixed drink is very, very important to me. So I have a lot of condensation of ice-cold water. I'm also wearing very thin shorts from Bonds. Okay.
Oh no.
So as I went to sip it,
Oh no.
one drop, a singular drop, a drop of dew off a sweet blue tree off from the depths of Pandora, if you will, Joel, dropped, and it landed right on tip of my penis, and it was cold. It was cold, and it shocked me. And when that happened, I was filling my mouth with sweet gin tonic. I almost spat it out because I got the fright of my life. Okay?
Grip it and drip it and sip it.
Grip it and drip it. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's it, baby.
Speaking of gripping and dripping, chained
Wasn't just
echoes,
an overzealous
Karen.
ghost.
Karen, chained echoes.
Chained Echoes is another, much like Tunic, it's a game I played in a Steam Next Fest like a year or so ago. So it was a game that I've been looking for, but again, like the last 2 years have been insane, right? So like many games that I played, it just sort of slipped from memory until like the last couple of months as it was sort of gearing up for release. And I was like, familiar. Holy shit, it's the one I play on Steam Next Fest. That's great. This is another one of those games. It almost feels like an entree for next year's Sea of Stars. It is a brilliant throwback JRPG. I know. And it's another one of those games that sort of gets a lot about why those games are loved, but also it's not afraid to sort of march to its own beat in the sense. Well, I talked about it in our quest log last week on dialogue options. I talked about how the game's leveling system is interesting because you don't grind for XP. Instead, when you beat bosses or complete like objectives on like your little rewards board, you get a skill point, and then you can spend it on each of your characters to unlock skills or like stat upgrades and stuff.
That's really clever.
Yeah, and it means that you don't have to sit in a single spot and just grind, which is again we talked about this on dialogue options. Games that respect your time, and it really feels like this game's approach to combat and to leveling up respects your time, and that's one of the things I love most about it, honestly. But it's also got a killer soundtrack. Yes,
I want this game in my life.
Yeah, well, it's on pretty much everything. It's on Game Pass. I feel like we say that a lot, but it is on Game Pass as well.
Speaking of games you talk about a lot, and maybe part of your Twitter handle. Also, sorry, before I go on, Dialogue Options, fantastic podcast. Karen and Joel host our gaming-focused podcast, part of the Story Mode Gaming Network. Dialogue Options, available on Spotify, iTunes, all good podcasting platforms. Go in there, give them a like, give them some love, give them a subscribe, give them a 5 out of 5 rating because what they deserve, especially the episode that I'm on. Now, speaking of games...
The episodes where Jesse isn't on.
Yeah, that's also a very fair call. They're the ones that say on track a bit more. Speaking of games, you won't stop talking about Kyron, and your enthusiasm, your infectious enthusiasm has indeed infected me, and I started playing this game today. It's part of your Twitter handle. Play Signalis. Tell us about Signalis.
Jesus Christ. Signalis... Where do I start? Signalis is a game, it's made by two people in Germany, made by a two-person studio called Rose Engine, and it's almost like...
German, okay. I was going to ask
you. Yeah, they are. Yeah, and it makes a lot more of a game make sense when you know that. It's almost like they reached into my brain and were like, okay, what sort of game does Kyron want? He likes Silent Hill, he likes Resident Evil, he likes Hideki Anno, he likes David Lynch. Let's just take all that out, rip it all out, chuck a CRT filter on it, make a survival horror game, bada bing, bada boom, and you got Signalis. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted.
It's fucking sick. I only just started playing it.
Yeah, it absolutely commits to its aesthetic, and I respect it so much for doing it. Like I said, you can apply a CRT filter to really make it feel right. But even like the hums of like your menu, it sounds like you're looking at like at a little computer monitor. The puzzles are fun. Its approach to combat again is like throwback to old school Resident Evil and Silent Hill, where you can fight or you can avoid enemies. Sort of depends on how you want to approach it. If you do take them down, maybe they'll get back up later. So you've got to sort of take that into account. Soundtrack so reminiscent of like the Silent Hill music by Akira Yamaoka. It's just like everything I wanted in a game and want in future games. This studio just made and just were like, here you go, have it for Halloween. Fuck,
I only just started playing it today. I bought it a few weeks ago. I just haven't had time to play it. I just started playing it. And a part of games that I go on about is I love isolation in games. I love feeling like you are the only person who can win the situation, be a survivor or fail is you. You're the only element in play here. I love that. And this game from the start has given me that. And the CRT filter, just the weird cold vibes to it.
Yeah.
The amount of German in the game has absolutely spoken to me.
Should I recommend this to my German friend?
Well, I'm not German, but it was made by two German folks, so...
Go. I'm going to recommend it to them.
Also, I was going to say...
Do they like survival horror?
I just tweeted that I dropped cold water on the tip of my penis, and we got a bunch of more people watching the stream on Twitch and TV4/stormode.us. So who knows? Let's see if we can make magic happen twice. But
all right,
with that,
what gets the views.
Lads, pop your votes in, and let's move on to the next category, which is something we have touched on a little bit before. We are going to start rolling through these categories a little bit quicker because we've spoken about these games a little bit already. Best score/music. Now I'm going to actually skip straight to the game that caused me to changes from best score to best score/music. And Joel, this is a game that you've played, Metal Hellsinger.
Oh, baby.
A game that is super focused around the soundtrack. A soundtrack made up by some really, well-known musicians. And it is integral to the gameplay. I love the idea of this. Tell us about Metal Hellsinger.
So, Metal Hellsinger is a first-person shooter rhythm game. So basically, you are implored to shoot on the beat to the songs that are playing. And so different weapons have different firing patterns, I guess, or different rhythms as well. So, some the shotgun's obviously a bit more slower. And it also factors in things like reloading as well. So reloading, it has an active reload. So you can hit the reload button and let the reload animation play out. But if you hit it again on beat, you can reload a lot quicker. On top of that, it also rewards you not only with just the gameplay being really fun and solid, but also it rewards you with the music itself swelling a lot more. So it has that sort of Devil May Cry, Doom Eternal, dynamic score soundtrack system where the better you're playing, the more of the song you'll get. So it rewards you it sort of encourages you to play to get better with the mechanics, so you get to hear the full song in its entirety instead of just like a bass guitar and some drums sort of, pounding away, which is still really good. But
bass guitars are good.
Yeah, but then when you get like when you've got a game that has like the soundtrack has like people like singers from Matt Heafy from Trivium, Alyssa White Glues from I think she's from Arch Enemy, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's Tatiana Shmuluk as well, who's the lead singer of Ginger, who were awesome at Good Things. And like Dennis Lexon
Friend
from
of the show.
International. Yeah, exactly. Dennis Lexon from International Noise Conspiracy and Refused. Like there is Serge Tankian as well. Like there are these like titans of like metal who are like vocalists that lend their pipes to this game, and yeah, so like the better you're playing, the more of that you get to hear, and it's I think in terms of like the category of like best score, and I don't think it is probably necessarily the best score of the year, but I think it deserves to be
Acknowledged.
shouted out and commended and acknowledged because of it uses that that idea of like a dynamic
You know what it feels like?
music system.
When you see a good movie trailer, and it will because it can be cut in such a way, you'll always get the music cut in with the reloading of a gun. You get that click
Yep.
click, and it
Yep.
really it is super hype. Like if you watch like a John Wick trailer, it will have it in that.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this
Yeah.
game has gone for. It tried to like bottle that lightning, and it's done a quite a good job. This is one of those games where I'm super stoked for a sequel. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of
me too.
lessons to be learned. Smaller team, but I mean, I think at Gamescom, I think it was, they got a bunch of the musicians on stage and they played like a show. And for a studio to put that much faith into their new IP means that they have plans for the sequel.
Yeah, I think I watched some of that.
Get trashy. Go fuck metal. Go metalcore. Give me some old mate from Attack.
Yeah,
Give me some Caleb Shomer or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Bring it on.
Like, so yeah,
Danny Warsnop. Let's go.
Fucking hell. Two Feathers are the people who did this, like the actual soundtrack itself, and then they have these guest vocalists come in to do from like all those various bands. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a shout out. I think it's so good. I'm a sucker for a rhythm game. I love. It feels like Doom Eternal, but like chuck some Guitar Hero in there with it, and it sounds like an absolute mess, but it works really well. And it's one of those games that when you click with it and you get into the zone, it is so satisfying. And that's part and parcel to the soundtrack itself is phenomenal. It's great. I don't know if it's out on any streaming services yet. I don't think it is out to stream. So you can listen to it on YouTube. I think is the only place you can.
It is on
listen to
YouTube. I've heard a few songs. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can watch that concert from Gamescom as well on YouTube as well, which is very, very cool. But I hope it comes to streaming services soon because, yeah, it is really good. It makes you, it gives you that feeling of like I want to go out and conquer something. Like it's good gym music. Like if I went to the gym, I would probably listen to this because it's just like, yeah, this is just like metal with a capital M, and it's great. Like it is just very well executed.
Now I'm going to move on to a game that I'm going to talk about a lot, I think, in this podcast. God of War Ragnarok. Now, Bear McCreary, 2022 will be remembered as the year of Bear McCreary because not only did he make the music, the score for one of the biggest releases of the year, God of War Ragnarok, he also did it for one of the best shows of the year, Rings of Power. He nailed it. And whatever your thoughts are on the show, as long as they're not sexist, because if they are, fuck off. Or racist, fuck off. Not everyone loved the show. Okay, cool, whatever. The score was immaculate. And
10 out of 10 score.
That level of attention was brought over to the score for God of War Ragnarok when Bear won his award for Ragnarok at the Game Awards. I love that he went on stage and he basically said, Kratos is a very simple man, so I want to make a very simple song, so I came up with a song with basically 3 notes to it. And that was to be his song. That was to be his entrance music if he was a wrestler.
To slightly
And then
derail you, Jesse,
they
for a
wanted me to
second.
say on, and I wrote the rest.
I learned two things when I was just looking at Bear McCreary just now. He did the music for that new Witcher spin-off that's on Netflix, and he's doing the music with Gary Skyman for Forspoken next year.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Well, and, as somebody has played the Forspoken demo, maybe 2023 won't be the year of Bear McCreary. But from seeing...
It can still have a banging soundtrack.
It could.
No,
regardless.
that's the thing. I've heard the music.
You've heard some of the music.
I'm just going to go off what I've heard. But God of War Ragnarok, for a game with such an incredible story, incredible performances, the music needs to glue that all together. And it does in such a beautifully haunting way. There are moments where they play these little signature songs and pieces that you know from past God of War games. And I felt myself like tearing up. But the thing I actually want to really point out is a song that Bear wrote with Hosier. Take Me to Church, very tall forest, the forest nymph that is Hosier.
Yeah.
They play the song Blood Upon the Snow in the end credits of the game, and at the Game Award they played it. And I've been playing it's probably my most played song of the month so far. I haven't heard a song that summed up the emotive journey of a game in the same way that Blood Upon the Snow does. That song twists a knife into me. It is like sad but powerful. It comes at you from so many different angles, but it just embodies the complexity of the game. And just for being to invoke, for a piece of music to invoke so many emotions over how long is God of War Ragnarok? Like 30, 40 hours?
20, 30 hours?
If you get a platinum
Yeah.
it, I'm trying to, and I'm slow at games, Karen. I'm sorry, okay?
I think my play count was
I haven't got the platinum
45, and
either,
I've still
okay,
got a lot
jeez.
to do. Yeah.
But I finished the game, and I'm still going through and I'm doing things, and there are still musical hits that just get me. So, God of War Ragnarok, very, very well done. Let's start barreling through a few more of these. Look, Horizon Forbidden West is a game that I've got really complex feelings about this year. I was looking forward to it for years. Played it, and look, love it. I didn't finish it because it came out at a period where I was kind of between games as well. It was Elden Ring. It was the Elden Ring summer. Okay,
Yeah. Horizon has no luck so far.
it didn't have any luck.
Yeah.
No.
But I took a step away from it. I'm going to get back into it. Look, the score was good, but a little bit like 2018. Nothing to write home about, but fit the general aesthetic, and I hope they continue that sort of vibe for the TV show that is being developed, because we're entering the video game zone when it comes to film and television.
We are. But whatever the main theme is, I'm not sure if it's Aloy's theme or the game's theme, is still beautiful.
Oh yes.
I'm just like, every time I hear that song, I'm like, you got me with that song. That whatever this tune is.
The
you got me.
reason it's a nominee is because of the general theme music of the game is
Yeah.
still incredible.
Very good.
To write a piece of music epic enough to be about robotic dinosaurs, you've got to nail it, and they fucking nailed it. So good on them. Look, We Are OFK. We've probably spoken about that a fair bit. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack, please do. Every episode had a song. Simon, just real quick, barrel this off. Favorite song?
It's probably Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold, baby. Fool's Gold
Fool's
is
Gold.
perfect. Perfect. It is one of my
But
favorite songs.
Shout out to Footsteps, second favorite.
I don't think I've heard Footsteps. So I don't want to go.
Footsteps is great.
All right, Kyron. Elden Ring, baby.
Elden Ring, baby. Look, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I sometimes feel like the From Software games soundtracks don't get the respect they deserve, because they are stunning. And granted, a lot of the time, it is just frantic choir as you're just like fighting these horrible monstrosities who will just pound you into the pavement in a second. But what I really liked about Elden Ring is it had all that great stuff, but it also had really nice like ambient and atmospheric music in a lot of these areas. The soundtrack in Caelid, I could feel my skin crawling whenever that was picking up. I'm like, I know I shouldn't be here because of what this place looks like and because of what that theme music sounds like. I need to leave. And it's just
Dude,
little things
I
like
think I
that.
fired Elden Ring up again a few days ago, and I just heard that menu music.
That menu thing.
And I felt my body go into defense mode. Like, the hairs on my back stood up, my nipples were hard, it was all fucking happening. I was ready
you could fight the whole damn world to that song.
Your nipples were hard for other reasons, mate.
Because I was playing fucking Elden Ring, I was horny as hell.
But
you want?
Kyron, you bring up what I think is an interesting point, actually, because I draw comparisons to Breath of the Wild and how Breath of the Wild's soundtrack is quite understated, quite chill, and it's never in your face. And as a result, many people are like, it doesn't really have a soundtrack.
Like, to what's happening on the screen.
Yeah, and it's like, if you don't think it has a soundtrack, I'm sorry, but you are objectively wrong. It's got a really good, but very subtle.
It's almost
definitely.
like people who say that a game like Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring have a bad soundtrack, you're objectively wrong. People who say they don't have them, I kind of understand. Because it is so deeply embedded within the gameplay that when I was playing the game, I never noticed the soundtrack until I noticed it. And then when I noticed it, I noticed how much it was amplifying my experience of the game. Because, Karen, you've got a really good point. I think one of the strengths of Elden Ring is the game really like ebbs and flows for the first 2/3. It has these like peaks and valleys that it has these quiet moments, and you can relax it. You can take in the environments and the lore and some of the lesser creatures that you can beat the shit out of and get that power vibe back. And it suits that. But when a dragon comes out of a cave to skull fuck you, the music amps up to a skull fucking tenor. And it really works. I actually not even kind of. I definitely want to get this on vinyl because I just want to hear the little intricacies. This will be if and when they eventually do an Elden Ring symphony tour. We are going. I've spoken about the importance of video game symphonies and orchestras before.
A From Software orchestra in general.
Oh yeah,
it would be beautiful. You need to have a full choir though. But Jesse, you just remind me of how gutted I am about that event they had. I forget if it was in Japan or America. They had like an Elden Ring jazz night.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
No, and like so you could go to it in person, or you could buy online tickets if you lived. I think it was in America. If you lived in America, you could buy a virtual ticket. I'm like, let me buy one. I want to watch this, but they just wouldn't. They refused, and I'm still haven't figured. I'm sure I could look it up on YouTube now, but
Also, I think too, like, man, that fucking theme song. God.
Not to spoil anything about Elden Ring, but it comes back around in such a fucking cool way.
If you can force your way through the muck and the mire that is that last quarter of the game, sure, it's fine. Sure, it's good.
All right.
You could just listen on Spotify though.
We're warming up, baby.
Looking
We're
ready
warming
to
up.
bully Ragnarok.
Karen's gonna get some revenge on me. Speaking of revenge, Shredder's Revenge. Simon,
Yes.
who's played TMNT Shredder's Revenge here?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be.
All right, I'm the fucking loser here. Okay, great. Like
Don't worry, I haven't played it either.
Bleeps and bloops.
TMNT,
Simon, we're the fucking losers here. As if we didn't know this.
I just want to say I have listened to some of the soundtrack.
Don't try and be cool.
So.
It's
Get off your skateboard,
More than you.
fucking nerd. Shredder's Revenge,
here's the
Karen
thing.
and Joel. Soundtrack.
Yeah.
What's up?
Here's the thing, Karen, you're right. It's bleeps and bloops,
Bleeps and bloops.
in the best and most.
Oh my god, it
beautiful
happened
possible way.
again.
Oh my god, Jesse.
Jesse, stop getting your dick wet.
Check the viewer count. Tweet it.
I came a little bit. I'm not happy about it.
Boy.
Just really love
God.
Shredder's Revenge's soundtrack.
Yeah,
And, like,
and
you're not
rightfully
alone.
so, because you know why? It's, like you said, bleeps and bloops in the best possible way. But then you throw in there the fact that Mega Ran does the track on
Hell
that. You throw in the
yeah.
fact that...
Wait, hold up.
Fucking...
What?
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it gets
Oh, Mega
better.
Ran's sick.
Fucking Raekwon and Ghostface Killer do a track on this soundtrack. Fucking Mike Patton sings the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. It's fucking wild. Yeah, dude.
So I'm going to change my voting based on Mike Patton.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that until just now when I was looking up the soundtrack list. I was like, fucking Mike Patton did the theme. What?
Like Tomahawk Mike Patton.
Yeah. Like Phantomus, fucking, like, oh my god. Yeah, it's
Cool.
wild. But it is also so good because like the chiptune stuff that is in there is just flawless.
It honestly reminded me again. It reminded me of how much I fucking love Amanaguchi's soundtrack for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh,
I was constantly just like tapping and humming away
excellent
to
shout.
Shredder's Revenge
Excellent
soundtrack
shout.
the entire time. I loved it.
And Kyron, what about Xenoblade? Sorry, wet dick got to me. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Look, I know we've spoken a lot about Xenoblade Chronicles already, and I just feel like the one thing that these games always excel at is having a just ridiculously
every
god-tier
time.
soundtrack. It's
There
insane.
is not a single damn Xenoblade song that misses.
No.
Every damn one is incredible.
They always
I
land.
just every single time. And I've listened to the main battle themes for all 3 of the main Xenoblade games back to back. And the way that there's nice little homages to the previous one every time.
Yeah.
And it's just and then the third one
It's perfect.
it's good. It's so good.
All right.
So
It is so good.
on top of that, the way these soundtracks can go from having like these really beautiful melodic songs, just like shredding like guitars in combat is just
I love it.
it's so good. I just want to take special note to point out that one of the things I love most about this game. So to get briefly, I'll touch on the story. You play the two of the main characters, Noah and Mio. They have these little flutes they use to sort of send the dead soldiers. And they actually incorporated that into the soundtrack to a point where the composer sort of made 2 flutes. So he could sort of, he had a bit more control, a better idea of how the music should flow. And the flutes are a major part of the soundtrack, and it is beautiful. And then once they finish one of those beautiful songs, again, they just shred some guitars, and it's just sick.
Hells yeah.
It's ace.
Flute and
It's
guitar?
ace.
You got
Yeah,
me.
it's got it all, baby.
All right,
4-disc
pop your votes
soundtrack.
in. Pop your votes in for those games, please, gents. And we're going to move on to a category called Hidden Gem, a game that maybe a lot of people will miss. Now, a few of these games we've already spoken about, so we won't go into them again. But going through the nominees for this category: Signalis, or as I wrote, Signals. I wrote Signalis. Chained Echoes, Triangle Strategy, Ollie Ollie World, Nobody Saves the World, Curse to Golf, and Immortality. Now, we've already spoken at length about Signalis, Chained Echoes, and Immortality. So, Simon, I'm going to throw Triangle Strategy at you. You love yourself a geometric strategy.
I do love my geometry and I love strategy, and this game was a perfect combination of the two. So, straight up. No. So, it's done in the 2.5 HD style as Octopath Traveler, and it's just a fucking gorgeous game. But also, there are 3 warring factions. It's a really good turn-based strategy RPG. So if you like your classic Fire Emblem games, your Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff like that, this game handles that so damn well. And it's got a really cool mechanic in it, which is basically when there's a big decision coming up, people will have, like, characters will have their own opinion. And you can go and talk to them to hear their opinion. And then you can try and change their mind. Ooh. So it normally will be a 50-50 split. And so it'll be like, and your character goes, I leave it up to you guys to decide. But if you've got an idea in your head and you're like, no, I think this is the way we should do it, you can talk to a few people and you can convince them to change their minds. So that way there are more votes in your favor. And you can do this both ways, whether it's, the good thing or the bad thing or the middle of the road thing. You can do that. And it's so fun. And you get proper insight into these characters. The drama is quite natural. Some of the dialogue is super fucking clunky. So be ready for that.
I think when you play a game like that, you expect that at one point.
That's the thing. It sort of comes with the territory. But yeah, it's just a absolutely fantastic strategy game. Got a really fun sort of novelty mechanic in it that never feels too tiring. And it's basically if the last season of Game of Thrones wasn't shit.
Yeah,
Ooh, controversial opinion from 5 years ago.
I know, right?
Is it controversial?
I don't think it's controversial at all, but
Yeah, it's not
I think it's
controversial.
universally accepted.
It's an old opinion.
yeah, it's an old opinion, but it still rings true.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought up the decisions thing. So I really quickly want to chip in here. What I really love about like being able to convince other characters is it made genuine like moments stand out when a character was just like, sorry, mate, I can't side with you, and they'd vote against you. I'm like, I thought I convinced you. And it's like, no, sorry. Yeah. I'm like...
There's... And the thing is like the way the game handles that as well is that it's never like there's no resentment for someone going against you or voting against you. It's always like I get it. This is an open and an honest forum. Let's talk about it.
And it makes the replays genuinely interesting.
Yeah, genuinely really interesting. And the main character, the Serenoa, tends to sort of lead into these as like, I will go with whatever you guys decide, and I will hold no qualms or issues with whatever is decided. And that I really like that sort of genuine, I guess, honesty about it. I don't know, it's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
Of like all the games that Square Enix put out this year and didn't really promote properly, I think this is my favorite.
Yeah,
and there
absolutely.
And there was plenty. There were a dime a fucking dozen this year, and I think there's even more coming out next year. Square, sort your shit out. For the sake of a group of people who do a video game podcast, please, for our sake, sort your shit out. Just merge.
Or just give us review codes, okay, please, Square. Give me a review code for Final Fantasy 16, thanks.
Yeah, do that, and we'll forgive you forever. Joel, Ollie World was sick.
Oh, yeah.
Do tell.
Ollie World, such a great game. So Ollie World's from Roll7. They sort of shot to sort of infamy, I guess, with the release of the first Ollie, and then Ollie 2, Welcome to Ollywood. Both are like side-scrolling.
And now I'm Simon, welcome to Ollywood.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yes.
Low-hanging fruit, but I respect it.
They are like 2D skateboarding games that have a really good sort of like trick system. They work in a way that I never played it, but similar to what I understand of how like things like Skate worked. In terms of you using the sticks
to plant your feet and stuff like that, and actually like use the physics of that.
Yeah,
but on a 2D plane, it was quite different.
Exactly, yeah. So with this one, they've sort of gone for like a 2.5D aesthetic. The first ones were sort of like very sort of like basic in a way, like pixel art style, which were charming in their own way. This one goes for like a Cartoon Network Adventure Time style animation, and it looks great.
Sometimes indie games will change their art style with a sequel for the sake of it, and it doesn't work. Like Nidhogg, I think lost a lot of its charm.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Wait, sorry. Ragnarok taught me how to say Nidhogg correctly, and I can't remember what it was, but it's gross.
Nidhogg or something. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Nidhogg.
Nidhogg.
Yeah, you Nidhogg.
It's just so fucking Nidhogg, isn't it?
God.
Bro. Everyone calm down. Simon's wearing his soccer hooligan polo shirt. He's in a headbutt.
Oh my God.
That's a problem with wearing polo shirts and being English. It's like I feel like I'm filling a stereotype here.
Fuck. He's even got it unbuttoned. I mean, for the sex appeal for one, but also like he's gonna headbutt me.
Yeah, maybe I am. It's called a Liverpool kiss, mate.
Oh my God. So yeah, with the first two games, that they were just sort of like objective based. Like you'd go into a level, you'd have certain objectives, you need to complete them, and you can get enough stars to unlock more levels. This one has like a narrative where you're sort of this up and coming skater in this sort of like skating based world where you're trying to go to get to like Skate Varna, I think it's called, or something like that. You're trying to get to meet like the gods of skating. It's so dumb and silly and unnecessary, but it's fun and it really kind of works for the vibe. The levels themselves feel like they're a lot longer and a lot more intricate now as well. They have multiple paths to them. They have different, I guess, difficulties, and then also different things you can unlock by going through those. You have like a creator character as well. So your main avatar, you can unlock like different cosmetic items like clothing, hairstyles, different colors, and obviously skate decks, right down to like things like the trucks and the wheels themselves you can completely customize with different combos
it's so
and
important
options.
That a game about like skateboarding has customization because That's kind of what the culture's about, like expression and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Expressing yourself. And so I think it all wraps up into this really nice package that really sort of cements itself in as one of those games of like, oh, just one more run. Just one more run. Like, or you'll start a run and you're trying to get a specific objective and you fuck it up and you're like, all right, yep, restart, do quick restart, yep, back into it. And you can just sit there for hours and hours and hours and do that. Or if you've only got 10, 15 minutes, you could do a couple of runs and still be satisfied with it. It had like a couple of DLC packs that came out for it as well, which added more content to it. I didn't get to those. I didn't quite finish the game itself. It came out earlier in the year, and when it came out, I bought it on a whim. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I really like the first. I'd been recently replaying through Oli Oli and Oli Oli 2, and was like, man, there is a solid foundation to these games, and I want to see how they expand upon that. I feel like they do really well, and I feel like it's a game that sort of deserves more love. Especially if you've played one of those games, or if you're like, looking for something to fill that gap post like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 like remakes, and knowing that we're not going to get any more of those ever. So it's a little bit different, but it also has, and also maybe to like, quench your thirst until the next skate game comes out. So yeah, I think Oli Oli World is very, very good and very fun.
Joel, what
it's a
if
great Switch game.
I need to quench my thirst until the next PGA tournament game comes out? Would Curse the Golf?
Wow, that's a
scratch
real
that?
question. Asking a real question.
Maybe not so much. But I guess like, it is a golf game at surface
Golf
level.
game. Moving on.
Golf game. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a golf game. No, but it's interesting because again, much like Oli Oli World, and the Oli Oli franchise, it is instead of being a like 3D world that you're playing golf in, it's a 2D like side-scrolling golf game, sort of akin to like Super Stickman Golf, that iOS game that sort of blew up when like the App Store first launched.
I've got such a thing for like physics-based golf games. This
Yeah,
is on my list of games that because I know I'm not going to put 10 hours into it. I will play it for a few hours and be done with it and be happy with my time with it. But it looks like
the thing is,
it's going to be a good time.
The mechanics aren't so complicated that you couldn't come back to it either as well. Like if you're like, oh, I've really got a hankering to play something like that, you could just pick it up again, which I've done multiple times since this game came out. When I've had like gaps and I've just felt like playing something and not really thinking about it. But the other element to it, which was why I'm sort of flying the flag for it, is it's a roguelike as well. So basically, you are at the start of the game, you're playing in a tournament and you get killed, and so you are cursed to golf, like the title says.
What?
You've got to fight.
Crazy.
You've got to fight your way through the 9 layers, the 9 holes of hell, basically,
Love it.
and to sort of like get back to the world of the living. And it has this roguelike element where, each hole has like stages to it, and then you have a boss fight at the end of it as well. And then after that, you have it's like a checkpoint. You can start from that hole and continue on from there if you want to sort of like get through the story. But you can also just start from the start again and try and do a full run. It has like a card system as well, so you have like power-ups that you can use. They like vary from things like giving yourself a few more strokes, which is always good. Not all of us
That was a masturbation joke, if you weren't aware.
I get it.
It's okay. Not all of us can have a copper cup to do the job for us. So,
Ew.
it's so. I saw that one.
I bet you did.
Because basically, you have like you start the game and you have like I think like a limit of 9 shots or whatever, and then you can replenish them by picking up power ups through the world or using these cards. But there are other ones that have like you can stop time, so the ball will just stop mid flight and drop where it is, or you can. There's another one that's really handy where like you can hit your shot. If you activate that card, you can hit your shot and then press a button, and it'll stop the ball. It'll slow the ball down in midair, and you can change the direction of it, so you can use it to sort of platform up to other areas, so like completely go in the opposite direction, still using the momentum from your shot. So it's got some really cool ideas and mechanics there. And again, much like Ollie Ollie World, I feel like it didn't get as much love when it came out. I think it's a pretty niche game, I guess, in a way. It's a golfing roguelike, so I don't know what the audience for that is, but if any part of that sort of...
It's Joel.
It's Joel.
Yeah, it's
100%
Joel.
me.
Like, I speak about Signalis being made for me. This was made for Joel.
Greg
we're on
Norman loves Hades, so he's been playing
Yeah, it does. We're on the precipice of like Sports Story potentially shadow dropping, so I am very excited right now. Like we're in a good spot. But yeah, so Curse to Golf is really, really cool, and it's all got this like fun like 2D art style. The writing is a little bit, it goes on for a little bit too much, especially in the start of the game when it's trying to explain things to you. But there are some pretty funny jokes in there as well. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a shout out.
Last nominee from the Hidden Gem category, Nobody Saves the World. Joel, you popped this into our nominees. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, I feel like I'm talking a lot now. But Nobody Saves the World came out earlier in the year. It is, I guess, like a top-down dungeon crawler. But the sort of hook for this one is that you're a nobody. Like you start the game as this sort of grayed out husk of a person.
I know that
still
one.
just, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You start out as Kyron in the lead up to Christmas.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so and pretty early on in the game, you get the ability to sort of transform yourself into different forms, and they're basically different classes. So,
Yeah.
But instead of like, with like a Diablo where you'd start a game or a run and you'd be like, I'm going to play as this class, I'm going to level up this class. You're sort of leveling up all these different classes together. And there are a lot of them. I think there's like 20 or so.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, and they vary from like you start with like a rat, and then there's like a necromancer, and then there's a dino, like a dragon towards the end as well. But then the game even gets a little bit more wrinkled where it gives you the opportunity to multi-class. So you can start taking abilities from other classes and sort of mashing them together with a particular class to either solve certain battle encounters, because there's like a...
There's a puzzle element to all of them.
Yeah, there's puzzle elements, and there's like a rock, paper, scissors element to it in terms of like, fire beats grass and grass beats, that kind of thing, but it's like poison and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really fun. It's got this really cute art style. It's by Drinkbox Studios, and I love their shit. Like, is it Drinkbox? Yeah, it's Drinkbox.
Yeah, it's Drinkbox, yeah.
So like, responsible for things like Severed and Guacamelee, and like all the absolute wonderful indie gems. And Nobody Saves the World, I think, is a great sort of new direction for them to try something out. I didn't know it
was them. I will give this a go based on that like caliber of talent.
Well,
I played it through to completion. I haven't sort of like fully maxed out all the classes, and there has been DLC that just came out for it. I think it's just like arena battles and things like that, and a few more classes added in. But it is on Game Pass, so it's
magic words.
Definitely worth checking out. Yeah, it's
this is a game that definitely came across my radar because of a YouTuber that I follow, Gerard the Completionist. Shout out to him for just being fucking fantastic.
Hell yeah.
And he, absolutely, like top dude. And he gave this a very glowing review, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got to get into this one. I've got to set the time aside. I just haven't, and it's been sat there in my wish list and Steam, like fourth in my wish list all year, and I'm just staring at it now, and I'm like, I should just fucking play it. I should just do it.
Just do it. Do it.
Well, speaking of doing things, let's move on to the next category. So get your votes in. Remember, your top votes, you give the most votes to them. Dear listeners at home, I fucked up the Google sheet. I did it backwards. So give the most votes to the one you want to win. And we'll go through them shortly. Let's move on to our second last category. Biggest surprise. Not necessarily our favorite game of the year, but one that just caught us unaware of what it did. Signalis, Ghost Song, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Marvel Snap, Trombone Champ, and Pokemon Scarlet/Violet. I want to start off, and I'm going to combine two games here. The Pokemon franchise surprised the flying fuck out of me this year. So, Pokemon Legend Arceus was the most excited I've been about a Pokemon game for a long time. I've spoken about this ad nauseum on the podcast. You can listen to the past episodes at Spotify and iTunes and all good podcasting services. I'm getting better with that as we go. I'm sick. I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon, the little creatures that they are, the little monsters, the little ne'er-do-wells. But the games themselves were becoming super repetitive. The battle systems are broken. The progression I just found boring as shit. But I was playing them every single year because I'm a slave to corporations. Arceus was the first major break from the main core game line, where they did something different. They went to the past. The battling system was different. It was open world. And while it didn't land every punch it threw, it was a really bold and brave step. And I just want to shout out a friend of the show, Nick Simonovsky, my good mate from Sydney. He has put like about 700 hours into this game. He texted me and he's like,
Wow.
Hey, I just clocked over 100 hours in the game. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yep. Still haven't passed the first area yet.
Wow.
What?
I caught up with him a few months ago, and he was just like, it scratched a certain part of his brain, and he was busy between like, moving house and new job and yada yada, that it just got him. And I really respect the game for that. Like, it was able to get people who are Pokemon fans in a bit of a different way. It took a bit of a different tact and got them. Now, just to move on to Scarlet and Violet. A game that is inherently fucking broken, irredeemably,
Good lord,
like fundamentally fucked. It is also the best Pokemon game I've ever fucking played. I have never enjoyed a Pokemon game in the same way as I enjoyed, in my case, Pokemon Scarlet. Look, it is broken graphically. It is glitchy. It is buggy. There is popping. You will fall through the world multiple times. There will be some wacky, weird shit.
I was walking through a cave and ran into a Pokemon inside the cave wall and had to fight the Pokemon. I was like, what? What's happening?
I fought a Pokemon on the edge of the crater, okay? And every time I threw out a new Pokemon, because you kicked my ass, every time I threw a new Pokemon, my Pokemon would slide down. And I, as far as I'm concerned, die, okay?
They're dead.
You know
what? Oh my God.
I'm not saying, obviously, it's not as good as Skyrim, but Skyrim, when it first came out, was broken to hell. It was a pretty fucked up game when it first came out. But there was something about it that made you forget about the glitches and the popping and such.
Fallout 3 as well.
Fallout 3, yeah. I mean, let's face it, all Bethesda games.
Yeah.
Bethesda.
This is Bethesda's Pokemon game, okay? Because I was able to look past the performance issues and the 3 branching storylines, the new Pokemon they introduced, which, let's face it, of the new roster they introduced, they were almost all goddamn hits.
Absolutely. Some of the best Pokemon.
Some of the biomes were interesting. The open world aspect worked. Look, was it perfect? No, but it is the most positive step forward for the franchise I've ever seen. I didn't actually expect this to happen.
See,
I've put over 100 hours into it now, and I'm just about to... I'm not trying to get the full Pokédex. I'm not that type of guy, but I've taken my time with it. I felt very attached to my Pokemon, despite some of their final evolutions. Guys, I have a shiny Go-Goat. Come on. It's like the game bribed me for an award.
I know that you're a slut.
I am a slut for a Go-Goat. Hashtag slut for a Go-Goat.
With that being said, though, I think just sort of on that note, though, I actually think things are sort of the other way around in the sense that, like, Legends Arceus did so much to bring the series forward. Being able to just catch a Pokemon by just throwing a Pokeball at it. Awesome quality of life change. I wish that stayed.
Yeah.
I also acknowledge the fact that given the production cycle that Pokemon is in, the changes, some of the best changes in Arceus won't show up in the mainline Pokemon game.
The next
for
game,
another 2 years.
The next game, I don't think I almost wish they'd take next year off because they took 2 massive risks this year. I hope they're like, well, we've learned way more from this than we expected. Let's take a year. And the 100%. One they come out,
absolutely.
They'll come out. They're going to call
I think they'll do DLC. I think they'll do DLC for Scarlet.
Yeah, I think they'll likely do DLC for Scarlet and Violet like they did with Sword and Shield.
God, just release one fucking game though. Just one.
Oh, please. For
Just
the love
one.
of
So
God.
trust me,
You did. They already did with fucking Legends Arceus.
You know what's
and
funny,
it was
though?
good. It was brilliant.
when they this is a big thing. Is Sword and Shield, as much as I know we've always argued for one game, but DLC
Sword,
is
Shield,
where it
yeah.
stuck out to me when you had to buy the expansion pass that matched your game, and I was like, what the
Ridiculous. Absolutely
It's-
ridiculous.
I think the reason too, it like Arceus can get away with it being one game because it didn't have a focus on trading.
But that's a thing that I don't. It's a holdover. It
Yeah.
was, yes, probably the initial, genuinely good intentioned, initial concept of, because if you look at the history of Pokemon, it was inspired from Satoshi Tajiri's childhood and catching bugs and, having that experience of being able to trade things with your friends and
Catching
stuff like
bugs,
that. Yeah, cool,
yet
wonderful.
Rhyhorn was the first Pokemon he designed? What's it?
Yeah, it was one of
Also, wait,
one of the
that
really,
checks
first.
really, really super quick tangent here. Ash Ketchum and Pikachu's adventures coming to a close, and I
know,
am
I'm-
going
shout
to
out to Ash.
Why?
I am going to weep. I am going to openly just the trailer.
I've said for years.
And also the video of the English voice actor for Ash. I completely blanked on her name. The video she did
Oh gosh,
has
yeah.
crushed me. And can I just say,
Veronica Taylor.
that's the one, friend of the show. I am so happy that they are
Yeah.
wrapping up his story. It is the perfect moment to do it. He's done what he wanted to do. They're going to have like 11 more episodes, I think, with him. Ash
Yeah,
and Pikachu,
something
that
like
is.
that.
to wrap up their journey.
And I think it is going to be the equivalent of, like, let's face it, Simpsons has gone downhill. But when that last episode airs, we are all going to crowd around it like our grandparents watched the fucking moon landing. Okay, that's what
Yeah,
we're going to do with
true.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
There will be a
Yeah.
collective
100%.
moment
And
with our generation
I-
where we are just break
funny.
down in tears because this has been a major part of our lives for 25 years, and they are sticking the. I mean, we haven't seen the last few episodes, but the way they're going, they're sticking the landing. The last season with I can't remember the other character's name, where they changed the style a bit, it's become more comedic, is incredible. Please watch the Magikarp episode. It's one of the funniest animes I've ever watched.
I've always wanted to watch the most recent season of the
All right,
Pokemon
Karen,
anime.
after the
Is
show,
that-
I'll
is
follow
that
the episode.
Pokemon Journeys?
Yeah, Pokemon Journeys with Bo
Yeah.
or Joe
with
or
Go.
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 Why not?
Yeah.
Pokemon Go.
It's Go because it's Pokemon Go, and he's all about catching Pokemon.
I will send you
instead of
guys. There is an
battling.
episode. It's split in half. Okay, one of them is about a. I can't remember the first half. The second half is about a Magikarp flop contest. It's about the Magikarp that can flop the highest.
Oh my
okay,
God.
and it is like the last time I laughed that hard at an episode of anime, was the first episode of One Punch Man. Okay, this
Yeah.
Oh wow.
killed
Okay.
me. It is so good.
All right.
So
There's also
just
it also
respect the
has
action
one of the
picture.
sad. It also has one of the saddest episodes with the Haunter episode as well.
I haven't seen that. Don't. Oh no.
I'm pretty sure there's a Haunter one where it's it does some stuff.
So
Bring it back to games. I want to shout out
How
Magikarp since
dare
you
you.
brought him up. Every single time I saw a Magikarp in Scarlet and Violet, like flopping around out of water, put a smile on my face.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, just to sort of very quickly tie that up, as I was saying, I feel like Scarlet and Violet was a fair bit of a step back from what Arceus was aiming for. Arceus, I think, should be the standard going forward. I understand that given the development wheelhouse of Game Freak, I understand, given the cyclical nature of Pokemon, I get it, I understand. It's not going to be for maybe another year or two until we actually see the changes cemented. But
While
I don't know.
I somewhat agree with you saying, but I actually think this is a really good point for the games to diverge. I would like Pokemon Legends to become its own franchise, and then mainline Pokemon become
agree.
a
I
thing
think it
because
will.
they're taking very interesting
I agree.
steps.
It will.
And I like the idea that there is, look, it doesn't matter what way the mainline Pokemon games go from now on. There is a structure of sorts that they need to stick with. There needs to be gyms, there needs to be battles, yada yada yada. Whereas with the Legends franchise, they can do different time periods. They can really fuck with things. They can have alternate realities. They could do whatever. Have a really experimental one, and then have your mainline one. I think rather
Give me
making
a Victorian era England, aka Galar.
hello,
Give me that.
Hello, welcome to Galar region. This is your Pokemon
absolutely.
Bulbasaur. What's the accent changing so much? Hello, I'm Pikachu. I talk now.
Ashbro,
Clearly, you haven't played
Fuck
Detective
up now.
Pikachu. You clearly haven't played Detective Pikachu then.
Yeah. All Pokemon know headbutt. All right, let's move on. Now we've spoken about Signalis a fair bit already. Ghost Song. Who put Ghost Song in here?
That was me.
Go on.
So, look, I explained to you why Signalis feels like it's a game made for me. Ghost Song actually falls into a similar category to Chained Echoes, except it goes back even further. So, Ghost Song is you take Metroid, you take Dark Souls,
Oh no.
and you throw it in a
no.
blender, and
Oh no.
in a game that gives me massive, it has a lot of, much like Hollow Knight, it gets what makes both of those franchises great, but has its own unique like personality and atmosphere, and is just a hauntingly beautiful little game. I haven't put as much time into it as I want to, but very early days. It is hard, but venturing around that world, the sound effects, the ambience, the combat is pretty simple, shoot bang, all that sort of stuff. But just what it sets out to do, I was like, holy shit! You got it. You know what makes these two games special, and you put them together, and you made it work. So kudos.
Karen, you are making my wish list blow the
I'm
fuck
sorry,
up
man.
right now.
I'm
I hope
sorry.
you realize this. No, you're fucking not, and you shouldn't be either.
Yeah, I'm not sorry.
All right, let's
Good.
let's move into a game that I started and didn't finish. You know when you start a game and you love it, and then you just stop playing it for some reason? And I think it's because your body thinks you don't deserve happiness. Did anyone else get that? Not just me? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Kirby in the Forgotten Land was an absolute delight. When you first
Yes.
deep throat a car, because let's face it, the game's about gobbies.
What they call it? It's like
The throat goat simulator.
Big mouth mode.
Yeah, big mouth.
Big mouth mode.
big mouth mode.
Wink, wink, wink. It's WAP mode.
I'm saying Kirby's got some talent, all right?
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was mouthful mode. wasn't it?
Mouthful mode, yeah.
Mouthful
Yes,
mode,
that's
sorry.
the one.
I
I
know
knew it was
it's
sorry.
that
Yeah.
game that
slightly
hangs in the back
worse
of
than
his
that.
throat. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so when the throat goat himself, Kirby, okay, everyone's favorite gobby monster from the cosmos, turns into a car outside the game. Like, who here's played it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Fucking love
early
it.
early on in the game, when you turn into a car, you drive across the bridge and the music's playing and stuff like that.
Oh,
That is one of the most like. I felt nothing but joy in my heart, and I haven't
Yeah.
felt that for years.
do you know what I love most about that? They put a demo out for this game, and it's the entire opening sequence, but they leave that part out.
They
So
skip it. Yeah.
I played the demo. I was like, "Oh man, this is so wholesome." And when I picked up the full game, like when the song started playing, I was like, "Oh, you geniuses! You hid this from me," and it was so
was
smart
very
because I
cool.
love this.
it was great. Loved it.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it.
As for like the general
yeah.
platforming and like moment to moment gameplay, it's something that I will go back and finish up because it just made me happy to play.
That's the thing. Like, Kirby games have been consistently good for a while, but they've always sort of flown under the radar a little bit because of their more kid-friendly demeanor and their
Simplicity,
approach to
yeah.
things. But again, they've been good. They've been really damn good. And as Kirby's first foray into 3D, true 3D, this game, I think, it did a lot right that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
For it
Yeah.
to do right. I was expecting like, oh, you know, it's Kirby, so he can hover, so it'll be easy to just clear out and clear over half of the stage. But having that sort of soft limit on how high you can go, and still having to interact with the environment in unique ways, and some enemies that if you just walk past them and leave them alone, they're still going to have their little nap under the tree. You don't have to do anything. That's okay.
All those little dogs.
because that's adorable. I love them.
I would like to speak on another part of that. Like my son is when this game came out, or when we ended up playing it, he would just turn 3, so he's not really got the idea of like moving in a 3D space in a video game, or
Yeah.
video games in general are beyond like tapping stuff on a screen. Essentially,
You can do it, I believe.
yeah. So he sort of started to pick it up. I gave him a Joy-Con, put him on as the second character, as a little Waddle Dee, and he would just walk into a wall.
But he was playing it.
He would also, but he's playing it, and he was also pointing out things for me. He'd be like, "Oh, get that over there, like that character over there. Let's go get that." And you know,
You can't
we
tell
play in
such
very
a
short
wholesome
bursts.
story after we called him the throat goat at the start of this. Come on.
No, I know, but like, I
Gobstopper
want to
himself.
touch on that because I'm not the only one. I think anyone that I know or have heard talk about this game who has kids has had that experience with them, especially young kids that are sort of starting to get out into video games. Griffin McElroy from the Besties and the McElroy family of products.
McElroy family of products. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's very accurate.
It's true. But yeah, he played it with his son, and he was saying on the Besties, like, when he started playing it, his son hadn't really done anything in the 3D space either, or like played any sort of 3D platforming game. He said by the end of it, like, he said, one of my favorite moments of gaming ever, he said, was beating the final boss in like the arena tournament mode with his son, and like them jumping off the couch and just like shouting and cheering. And like, I didn't have that level because he's still young, but like just watching him sort of interact with it and be like,
You can see like the little
Yeah,
first moments of
that's
loving
cute.
video games start to appear, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I hate
Absolutely.
that.
And I
I'm going to
think that
cap
game's perfect for
cap
it.
that particular
Please do.
nominee off
Yeah.
by calling Kirby the champion of the Gluck Gluck 9000. But let's move on.
oh.
Speaking of blowing things, Trombone Champ came out of nowhere. Now, who here has played Trombone Champ?
I have not.
I haven't. but
Who
I've
here
watched
have
people
laughed
playing
their
it.
fucking pants off to Trombone Champ
Fucking
videos?
A.
Yes,
Absolutely.
me too.
Yeah, guilty.
I watched.
Yeah.
For those who are unaware, Trombone Champ, very simple game. Think like a horizontal Guitar Hero where you play a trombone. So all you do is you press down on your mouse and you scroll it up and down to follow the certain lines on the screen to play a trombone. You have like a little like me character that plays along, and you have little prompts that come and say great, or my favorite is nasty. I watched one of a guy earnestly try and play, because a bunch of people are making fan edits now and like fan songs, playing Cruel Angel Thesis from Evangelion.
My God. Holy shit.
I was
Perfect.
Fuck.
hysterics, like tears streaming down my face because of the earnestness in it and the background. Like,
So-
so you know when you get like karaoke, how the song will play,
Yeah.
and you'll have random background images second
Yep.
only to a bowling
Yeah.
a strike at an old bowling alley, and they play that weird video, and it's like a forest and then a city and then a woman eating yogurt. It's that, and it is one of the most bizarre and jarring things I've ever seen.
It is.
That's
Utterly-
fantastic.
That's great.
Utter enjoyment.
So I had that same experience, except the song was "In the End" by Linkin Park.
Yes.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I-
There are so many songs
even
that
with
fit
the ba-
this.
I know.
Even with the song, with the songs that are included, like it reminded me how much the song "Old Grey Mare" makes me fucking laugh because it reminds me of The Simpsons.
Oh, great
But
man.
also,
She
then
ain't
you-
what she used to be.
because it fucking ruins me. And then so there's that layer of it, and then you have the layer of the game itself being just ridiculous, and like it's not working against you, but it is difficult enough where it's like it's way more funny and funnier if you fuck it up completely, and it's just.
And then when the word nasty comes, oh, and also when somebody's playing a really heartfelt song and you have the air horn that bam, 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 it's so good. The game doesn't do much, but what it does so perfectly. It doesn't tickle your
so
funny
good.
bone. It fucking kicks it. Okay, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
moving to our last game of this particular category, a game that has taken Joel, Karen, and myself hostage. Marvel Snap is so good. Field Runners may have competition as it may be my favorite mobile game ever made.
I've had a bit of a break from it, but yeah, I can't deny
I did, and
how
I'm back.
much of a
I made a
surprise
new
this is.
deck, and my deck is so good. So
That's
good.
my biggest pitch for why this game is probably one of the biggest surprises this year. Is I don't like card games and I hate deck building, but I love Marvel Snap.
Yep.
And
It
we're
just,
talking about
whatever it just makes it click, and I get it, and I love it now.
Yeah.
something that really
It
works.
distills it
is-
down into a pure form.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's helped by everyone's familiarity with these characters and the fact that their abilities suit the character. They fit contextually. That you feel a connection with them, and then when you start to string them together, everyone I know has their own deck, and everyone I know is very protective of their deck. Their deck is the best one, but you're wrong, dear listener. Because mine is, you fucks, okay? My deck, when PvP comes open, I'm going to kick Kevin Feige in the face with my deck. I don't give a shit, okay?
Hey, Jesse, you're not in a position to sort of like tell about like how precious you are about your deck when you consistently keep dripping stuff on it. So,
Fuck. He's got you there.
Touche.
Joel, that was good.
Quick,
I'm not fine.
Avatar,
I don't know
quick.
what's wrong with it. It's the suit. I need to wear this every day of my life now. It's making me. It's giving me power and life.
Use its power
Zinged.
sparingly, okay? Lest it consume you.
Let's consume. Fuck. Ow. I'm glad the podcast has a motto on the last episode. But no, for a game that you can play on your phone, it is free. There's no ads to it. I've never played a mobile game that you can stop between 30 and 60 frames per second. Okay, playing this in 60 frames per second mode is a trip. It is very cool.
It's beautiful.
It's different every time. It runs like a dream. Again, a very simplistic game when it comes to like the actual gameplay mechanics of it. But the characters, they run deep, really interesting, constant updates. I think the monetization part is very poorly skewed, but you don't need to do it at any point. So there are some things that cost you like over $100 to do, but no one's doing them. There's no need to.
No, but the thing is, though, it's getting to the point where it's like it is very easily tempting people. I think more so because it's not pay to win, but like you can get this particular variant of a card that you don't have yet. So essentially, you're buying that card.
The good thing is,
It's this weird grey area of things, especially as it goes on. But
while the
who knows, that
variants
could
are
change in a
interesting,
few
I think
weeks.
they recently introduced a new like gem system or something, like a coin system. So you
The
can
token
easily,
system,
the token
I think.
system. So you can easily buy variants in the store, and they rotate through. But I'm also finding, look, every card has multiple variants. It isn't like there's one basic one and one cool one. I've seen 5 or 6 different carnages at this point. And yes, some of them you have to pay for, some of them you have to do this and that, get the battle pass for. But the ones I've got are sick, and I didn't pay anything for
Yeah, I
them.
love
So
my
like,
variants.
I'm like, I'm cool with this. Like, I don't necessarily want a pixel art one. I just want one that looks cool, and it's worked. Also, just a shout out to the balancing of this game, because I've seen so many people use completely different decks where it's like a discard deck or a multiplier deck. They all work in their own time, and then you with the different locations, and highly recommend. So let's move on. Pop your votes in for biggest surprise of 2022.
Now, did you say before that you messed up how because I've been voting like 7 for the one I want to win.
Yeah,
and
that's
going
right.
down
That's
from
correct.
there.
That's correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
We're good.
Which is something you want to
Pretty
keep
good.
in mind, because we're about to do Game of the Year. Now, a few of the games we've spoken about, we want to go through them again, because let's face it, this episode's gone for 14 hours.
I think there's only one we haven't spoken about. There is only one game that we haven't spoken about.
Oh, no, there's only one.
There is only
Okay,
one.
one game.
We'll go straight to that.
I know
okay.
that because it was one of my submissions for another category.
Game
but yeah.
of the Year 2022. Our 10 nominations. Now, there are a bunch of games I wish could have made onto this list. Immortality, Plague Tale, so on and so forth, Kirby. There are so many games that could have made it to this list, but we had to cut it down. Signalis, Elden Ring, Tunic, God of War Ragnarok, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Vampire Survivors, Pokemon Scarlet/Violet, Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, and Marvel Snap. Now, I think of all these games, the only one we haven't spoken to about at length is Neon White, which we'll speak about in a moment, and then we'll get to the debate, Kyron. Now,
this is what this has all been gearing
It
up
has
for, by the way,
been.
guys.
Okay.
There's been sort of quiet Dragon Ball Z style
I'm
powering
drunk
up
whiskey,
going on.
I'm drunk gin, and I'm in it to win. Now, Neon White, let's start with this first. Joel, you pop this on the list. Neon White is a game I've heard a lot about from you, but please tell us a bit about it.
So Neon White, a game I haven't finished yet, and I got to a little bit later in the game, but I'd seen a lot of people talk about it. It's the latest game from Ben Esposito of Donut County fame. It's nothing like Donut County. Let's just say that it is nothing like Donut County, except for the fact that it takes a core idea and expands upon it in a really fascinating way. So this is a game built for speedrunning. Like, it is unapologetically a speedrunning game. In fact, I would call it its own genre of game, which is a speedrunning, or part of the genre of games that is a speedrunning game.
I was going to call it, what I've seen, it's like a stylish runner. Because you want to do things fast, but the way to do things fast is to do things cool.
Yeah. So basically, it's a first-person sort of like puzzle platformer in a way, like shooter. Basically, you there is a storyline that's told through like visual novel segments. A lot of people don't really click with that, and I get it. It's fine, it's there, and it is entertaining, to say the least. But you are like this character who's in like at the gates of heaven, basically, and with a whole bunch of other people, and basically, or you're in purgatory. You're basically trying to be like sorted into heaven or hell. And there's like one spot in heaven, and you compete in these like time trials essentially to get into heaven. One person gets let in, or back into the world of the living. I think it's something like that. Anyway, it's very convoluted and very silly and not nonsensical, but you know, it's there. But the meat and potatoes of it is it's first person. You're running through these stages. You've got weapons that you pick up that are in the form of cards, so you can fire those weapons that have different like ammunition, like levels of ammunition, or you can discard them to use an ability. So say, I think one of them is like a pistol, but if you discard it, it gives you like an extra jump. So you get a double jump or a triple jump, depending on how many cards you're holding on to. So you're trying to get through all these levels as quickly as you can. On top of that, once you finish a level, because you've got to clear all the enemies in the level before the end portal will open, they're all in position, so they're not moving around to a degree. Like, some of them move up and down sometimes, but like for the most part, they're in the one spot, and they're always in the one spot. It's not randomized or anything like that. So it really, again, plays into that speedrunning thing. But once you've beat the level and you get a particular medal for it, it'll unlock, depending on your time and what medal you've unlocked, it'll unlock things like you can find a gift in that level now that you can use to unlock more dialogue options. Great name for a podcast. And choices and choices with the other characters in this world, and or it'll unlock a ghost that will show you like different like shortcuts through that level, but that particular level, that you can get a better time and get that better medal. There's something about it that is so addictive and it just keeps you coming back for more. And I said before about I can't remember what it was that I was talking about. Ollie World being like just one more run. The few weeks I spent with Neon White was very much that. It's on PC and Switch.
It came to PlayStation,
so,
but
yeah.
it's a bit buggy, I think. But it needs some patches.
It's not too bad on Switch in terms of performance. It runs very well. Like, I was concerned about it. I had a friend who had bought it and played it and was like, "Nah, it works really well," and it does. Because you don't need pinpoint accuracy for the most part. Like, you're not like sniping people from across the map. You can do that, and it is beneficial for you to do that sometimes. But I don't know, it is very, very fun. Ben Esposito has this way of taking like a core game mechanic or idea and just expanding upon it and making it so fun to play, that, yeah, I felt like it needed a shout out somewhere. So, yeah, Neon White, definitely check it out.
All right, let's face it. Every other game's playing for third position, aren't they? Kyron,
Oh
your team
boy.
Elden Ring. Joel and Simon, you guys can go take a piss now if you need to. Okay, Mum and Dad are about to have a fight.
Tempted.
Okay, I'm
I'm gonna wake you both
having
up.
flashbacks to my youth. It's Christmas time and my parents are about to have an argument. Okay. Kyron versus Jesse. God of War Ragnarok versus Elden Ring. Kyron, tell me why Elden Ring is, I'm going to assume, your game of the year.
So, all right.
I could edit this all out.
I am fighting for Elden Ring. I want to be very clear. My personal game of the year is Signalis. But when I look at this
fuck
list,
this!
and-
Fuck this! You heard it first!
but we are voting for the story mode gaming game of the year, and therefore I must pick my side and fight for it. And I know, as much as I love Signalis, it's not going to get many votes. So therefore, I must throw my lot in with Elden Ring, a game that dominated the conversation and my life for a solid 2 or 3 months in a way that has not happened with a video game since Breath of the Wild. And much like Breath of the Wild, it dominated it for the exact same reasons. And one of the things I will always love about a video
Breath of
game
the Wild
is just
clone.
being able to talk to someone about it, and they can tell me some incredibly insane thing that they did that I was just like, what? That's a thing? That's an area? That's an enemy? That's a boss? And I don't know. Just seeing From Software, every time they do a new game and just taking the bits that work best for what they just did and be like, let's just chuck it in there. And to see Elden Ring sort of be like the complete amalgamation of that, of like all the shit they've done is just, it makes me so happy. It's got Dark Souls in there, it's got Bloodborne in there, it's got Sekiro in there, it's got everything. And it's just, it is the peak of what From Software have been working towards. And it is a 10 out of 10 video game. No question.
So you found the secret area in the secret area in the secret area?
I went all the
Or
way
did you
down to the
skip
Harley
over
tree
that?
and I stomped Melania into the fucking ground.
Malenia.
Let me solo her.
It's one of my favorite things. Look, I agree. I'm not a Souls fan at all, and I was iffy about even getting Elden Ring. And I think, Karen, you're one of the people who convinced me to pick it up. I picked it up day one, and I fell into that game like I've not fallen into games like that often. Okay, I was enamored by it. The fact that I've played Bloodborne before, I've played Dark Souls before, and I bounce off them pretty quickly. They're not for me. I'm not going to force myself to play them. The way that Elden Ring actually changed me as a gamer to the point where I'm going to be playing Sekiro soon, and I'm getting back into Bloodborne. I'm going to play them properly. Yeah, it has genuinely changed me. The first, I'm going to be generous here.
We got him.
The first
We got him.
85%
We got
of the
him.
game, first 85% of the game, are perfection. Like, I literally didn't think the games could do what Elden Ring did. The way that it opened itself up, it said, do what you want, learn lessons the hard way, but also we're not going to punish you. You can leave this area and go do your own thing. However, there is a massive risk and reward. Do you want to drop? You need to drop your runes here. Do you want to get them back? Yada yada yada. However, and this genuinely hurt me to say, because I remember joking with Keelan at the start of the year that when we did Game of the Year award, I was going to call it the second Game of the Year award, because nothing was going to beat Elden Ring until I played the end. The ending of that game, I know it's become a bit of a joke between us all. It hurt because it wasn't what it was. It became what a Dark Souls game is, or it became more linear. And I found the final few bosses. I have a fully strength based build because I'm a basic bitch, capital B on basic and bitch. Okay, but I have a purely strength based build. I have that big Game of Thrones throne sword, the one with all the different blades in it.
Yeah.
And trying to fight certain enemies at the end, it's just like it punishes you with. And when the game punished me at the start, I was learning lessons. This one just punished me for the sake of it. It was basically the game saying, you picked the wrong path to go down. We gave you every path to go down. We gave you an open world to explore and do whatever you want. You picked the hard one. If you went with like a magic build or more like a more agile build, this would be easier. It would be a bit more realistic, really, to do. And I found it was just it broke me a little bit. And then you obviously get to as them crumbling a story or whatever the fuck it is. Okay, sounds like a goddamn Panther Disco song. But you get to that area and it's linear. The enemies are boring. There's a very little lore there, and the environment itself is lacking. The snow area, I've gone on about it, and while it is better than crumbling fucking Azarath or whatever it's called, it doesn't have the same vibe as some of the castles that you did at the start of the game, which were entire games within themselves. So while it taught me what a game could be, and I think it's an absolute masterclass in creating a world. I think there's a whole debate to be had whether it should have been in the narrative category in Game Awards 2022. The narrative structure and stuff like that is a debate within itself. But I created such a narrative internally. My character had its own lore that was kind of personal to me, and the adventure they went on was my own adventure. That the ending just fucking twisted a knife for me. It really, beyond me just taking the piss out of the game. Any other year, this has been my game of the year. The ending few beats just fucking killed me.
I will accept that you don't dig the ruins, the crumbling ruins of Azula, Farum Azula. But I have to say, I feel like the reason they did that with the snow area is once you head north, you see, first of all, the desolation and how just barren it is. And it really sinks in that decision that you're making to go and kill that last fire giant to go light the kiln. It's like, here's the last one. You're going to kill him. He's going to rip his own leg off and try to kill you with it. But you are going to kill him.
That guy was a dick. But, I agree with that. However, when it comes to, pure destruction and just carnage, Kayla did that. But kept lore, kept structure, kept what made the game good and interesting. Had some annoying bird and dog enemies. They were
They were fucking awesome and terrifying.
They fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Until you came back and started absolutely just whipping their ass. The snow area just didn't have that. I was shocked how, for me personally at least, how sharply the game slammed the brakes at the end.
See, I think maybe I didn't have as much of a problem with it because I do love Dark Souls. So when it got a bit more linear and started like stomping me, I'm like, all right, here we go. This is we're in endgame now. So yeah, again, maybe that's why I'm not seeing it from that same angle, just because I was just like, sign me up. Let's go.
On the flip side, God of War is actually a game that I thought was going to be shit. I kept this to myself. Okay? Whenever we spoke about God of War 2018 is, on its day, my favorite game. Okay? I made the fucking axe from it. Okay? It had a genuine impact on me as a person. I've tried to become a better person since playing their game. Okay? Because I saw,
mixed results,
but
working on
one of us is trying, Simon.
Getting there.
Kratos is still working.
Hello, I'm Simon. I'm a right dickhead.
Perfect.
He's so good at that. But I was worried that the sequel wouldn't be able to stick the landing, because how do you measure up to a game that reinvented itself? Because part of the shock of 2018 was the reinvention, and that was part of its charm. And what the reason I loved it is I knew what it was. Now I know what it's become. The sequel to it, Ragnarok, couldn't be a reinvention of 2018. It had to be a continuation of it. So it lost that quote-unquote shock value. Somehow they did it. They wrote the story, and the more I play it, the more I'm thinking, do I like this more than 2018? And I might. They introduced a bunch of characters that they were able to flesh out, that added context to the story. They made Atreus a likable character, which, holy shit, well done. Kratos' story is, I think, one of the greatest, if not the best, character arc in gaming. And it dawned on me a few days ago, I don't even cry at funerals. But I know in the next game, I think Kratos will die in the next game. And I will cry because I've seen his journey, and just the weight of the writing and everything, the writing, the performances, the music, we've gone on about them. But also, the development of the realms. We've seen how the realms, these recognizable areas that I know back to front, have changed in time. These other characters like Sindri and Brock have changed with time. Characters that I already know, like Freya, and you kind of know a little bit about Tyr. How different they are. It all melded so perfectly well. There's one area in the game I didn't love. I didn't love the Angerboda stuff. It went for way too long. Way too long.
A long time.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, every time I thought this game had reached a new kind of pinnacle, it upped the game. And then it gets to the ending, and I won't give too much away, but those ending few sequences were like epic on steroids. I didn't think the game could do that. The revamped versions of these games have always been a little bit more subdued than the original God of War 1, 2, and 3. The ending of Ragnarok dwarfs anything in those games. And not just the ending. I won't even get into it. We're going to do a whole episode, I don't think. But for that reason, I think because the game was... It may not have hit the heights of Elden Ring. It may not have personally completely changed my view of games like Elden Ring did. It was consistent and stuck the landing. And Elden Ring 2, when it comes out, will shit all over every fucking game that comes out that year. Okay? I am confident. I don't care if Jack 4, Control 2, and God of War 3 come out, okay? Odin's Revenge. I don't care if they all come out in the same year. Elden Ring 2 will be better than them. I think, look, 75% of Elden Ring is better than Ragnarok, but that last 24% just drags a little bit down. Ragnarok was consistent.
It's a really good story. Oh, it has a really good story. Sometimes playing the game sucks, but the story is really good. I kind of got...
Hey, by the way, here's how you solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
Sorry, just had been a moment I wasn't sure.
I'm not going to harp on that too much, but I do hate that. Just like walking into an area and be like, all right, let's solve a puzzle. And
Elden Ring was like, there's no puzzle here, fuck you.
Elden Ring's like, check the notes.
There's no puzzle here. Me fucking no.
What do the notes say? Hidden wall. I bet it's not. Tink, it wasn't. Fuck.
I think
no.
In God of War, like there's like an area it's like, oh, there's a puzzle here. It's like, okay, cool. In Elden Ring, you kind of look at Miyazaki. He's taking his belt off. He's like, don't fucking look at me.
Oh god. But no, seriously though, I do one of the. It's only. So when I've been really trying to, I don't want to sound like I hate Ragnarok. I love Ragnarok. But when I'm trying to pick my game of the year, Kratos went on an amazing, incredible journey in Ragnarok. But in Elden Ring, I did. It was me. I did all that stuff. And I don't know. As I did some of the extra stuff in Ragnarok, I realized how much I hated backtracking. I hated hauling Kratos' slow ass around the map. Sometimes the combat...
old.
I know he's old, but he's also a god. Sometimes the combat... There's a weapon that changed it completely, and that completely refreshed my take on it. But I did sort of fall into the motions in the early segments, and I don't know. It's just, as a story, it's immaculate and beautiful, and definitely moved me. But as a game, that side of it sort of fell off for me as I got further into it. So I don't know. That's where I've drawn the line for me personally.
All right, lads, let's get our votes in. Are we all done?
Yeah, I've put my votes in.
Yep.
Karen?
I haven't put my votes in yet. I was too busy investing myself in that discussion. Let me just really quickly do that.
I actually changed mine just then.
Ooh, interesting.
Could this be the end of dialogue options? Stay tuned as I quickly input all these numbers.
Now, while we're loading this up, Simon and Joel, I can actually see if you're in this still. Can you please close the window? Not this window that we're in, but can you close the sheet? And Karen, when you're done, can you please close the sheet? I will not be continuing until I see you're all out of it.
No problem. I'm just out.
I'm outie.
You're out.
All done.
We're going to wrap up our game awards. It's past midnight. I haven't eaten dinner yet. I've drunk dinner, though, I can tell you that much.
All right. That should hopefully have saved. I'm going to press X now. Well, actually, no, let's go back to home. Does it say that I'm out of it?
Yep, you're all out. All right. I'm just gonna view this. Before I do, does it say Karen, Joel, Simon, pleasure? Okay. Friendships may be ruined
Always.
at this point. Karen.
It's could get bad. Could get brutal.
Bad, okay. So, our winner of best performance with a perfect score,
Yeah.
Christopher Judge as Kratos from
Congratulations.
God of War,
Of course.
followed by Danielle Nicole Basidi as Freya in God of War, and then we have Fiona Ray as Jay from We Are OFK.
Nice.
For best indie, Melbourne's own Cult of the Lamb is our winner for the year, followed
Well done.
closely by Signalis. Signalis, and then Vampire Survivors closely after that.
It's a good top
Best
three.
score
That's
slash
great.
Yeah, that's a solid
That's a
top
very
three.
solid.
there.
That is the top three I wanted. God of War Ragnarok has taken away our winner for our award. Sorry, for best score slash music. Let's hope it's not its last win for the night. Followed closely by Elden Ring in its second place where it belongs, and after that a draw between We Are OFK and Metal Hellsinger.
Oh, wow.
That's a good group. The two
good draw.
The two games I actually
Loving it.
changed the category to include music for. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice.
Hidden Gem. With 21 votes. Hidden Gem. Karen. Signalis, baby.
We did it, baby.
You bloody did it.
Congratulations,
You bloody
Rose Engine. You did it.
did it. Followed by Nobody Saves the World. And then we have another draw.
Excellent.
Chained Echoes and Ollie Ollie World.
Oh,
Biggest surprise. Oh, fuck. This is genuinely okay. It's a draw.
Is this genuinely
It's a draw.
surprising?
A draw.
Between Signalis and Pokemon Legends Arceus.
what a
really?
crowd.
Oh,
Very consistently, everyone's middle pick Arceus was.
Right. Yep.
Pays off.
Oh, wait, sorry. I've done that
Yeah.
wrong. I've done that wrong.
Oh,
I apologize. Our winner's actually Marvel Snap.
that sounds
Marvel
that
Snap,
makes
okay.
sense.
Right.
okay,
that
that
makes
makes sense.
And then we actually have a three-way tie for second. Signalis, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and Trombone Champ.
Yeah.
And then closely behind we have
Shout out to the
Kirby
trombones
and the
of the
Forgotten
world.
Land. All right. I'm going through the next ones one by one. I'm going to leave Elden Ring and I'm going to leave God of War till last. Okay, let's face it, we're playing for third place here. Now,
Killing it, you already
remember,
know. You already know.
the winner has the highest score here. Okay, and the top possible score you can get in this particular category would be a 40. 40 would be your highest score.
The all for Mitsu.
All right. Yep. Signalis, 20. Tunic, 20. Xenoblade Chronicles, 17. Vampire Survivors are a very respectable 23.
Deserves higher. Recount.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
Stop the count. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet,
Stop the
13.
votes.
That deserves higher, I reckon.
I
Cult of the
disagree.
Lamb.
Performance
Well,
soundtrack.
welcome to democracy, bitch. Cult of the Lamb, 25. Neon White,
That's
12. Marvel Snap, 20. So at this point, our third. Look, I'm assuming here. I'm going to assume that Ragnarok and Elden Ring got more votes. But at the moment, our bronze medalist is Melbourne's own Cult of the Lamb, which makes it really happy. That's really good shit.
Work.
That's a good chap.
Yeah, no, good stuff. All right, Simon, you can pick. What are we going to pick first, Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok?
I feel like God of War Ragnarok has taken second. So
All right, okay.
give
Now, mind you, listeners at home, I can't see this. I am whiting out the background on Google Sheet as we speak. God of War Ragnarok in the category of Game of the Year 2022 walked away with 34 votes out of a possible 40. 34 votes. That is 11 more than the third place Cult of the Lamb. Elden Ring. We get a drum roll, please. Elden Ring. Game of the Year 2022. Walking away with the prestigious Story Mode Gaming Game of the Year Award. 36 votes. Elden Ring is the Story Mode Gaming Game of the Year. Followed closely by God of War Ragnarok and, of course, Melbourne's own Cult of the Lamb. A perfect trilogy of games.
Incredible games.
Three of the best.
Yeah.
Three of the games I enjoyed the most this year. I'm actually surprised Marvel snapped it and get a little bit higher, but that's just me. Well done. Elden Ring. I just want to come up here and I want to thank Bill Clinton. Gotta stay on brand, you guys. Gotta stay on brand.
Well done. Say, I love Ragnarok.
Joel,
I do. I just had to be a bit mean.
I'm curious, Joel. Did I overplay my hand and you changed your vote to Elden Ring because of me?
Actually, it was the other way
Simon,
around.
you son of a bitch.
Thanks, Simon.
Hey, Simon, auto like Elden fucking Ragnarok.
For what it's worth, yeah, Elden Ring.
The voting here. I'm
took
going to see what everyone voted for here.
my third spot, and I think God of War was. I gave it the 6th out of 10. I gave it 6 points out of 10, I believe.
So
Again,
Elden Ring
remember
went
correctly.
9, 10, 9, 8. God of War at 10, 8, 10, 6.
The 6
Yeah.
killed it.
I got
Really
you.
did.
Great.
That's
all
why I
great
was
games.
quietly confident that Elden
I'm
Ring
glad I get
took the
Vampire
win there
Survivor
because
3.
ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
2D Elden Ring that it is.
Can we just, like, for a second, though, like, we got Elden Ring and Ragnarok in the same year. That's bananas.
And also,
That's-
another game that we didn't mention here,
They bookended the
because-
end. Yes.
yeah, it's all the time for it, is Last of Us 1 remake. It didn't really fall into any categories because I've played it before, but like this year's been pretty fucking good.
It's been bonkers. And can you imagine what next year, like,
Next year we're gonna do the same
already-
room and it's gonna be like
I'm so
chess
scared.
boxing. We're gonna read the
so
category and
scared.
Cara and I we're gonna fist fight.
I mean, what are we doing next year with Breath of the Wild 2 and Final Fantasy 16?
I'm gonna have the wettest penis.
Hey,
I am going to weep quietly in the corner.
It's for days.
and just also don't forget, Simon, they're within nearly a month of each other.
I know. And also, whenever Sea of Stars comes out,
Yep.
Baldur's Gate 3
Yep.
is confirmed for full release.
Let's
We've
hang
got
on to that.
incredible games like Gunbrella
Simon,
coming up.
hold
Like,
up. Hold on to that. Dry your gunpowder out, okay? Because we'll be talking about the games of 2023 when we come back. Yes, we are taking a short break. We never take these short breaks, but my word, am I fucking tired? Okay, so
What do you mean? It's only 12, 11,
haven't had dinner
11 past
yet.
12.
all right, we're going to be coming back. We're taking a few weeks off. We're going to be coming back January 10th. We are first episode back. We are going to be changing a little bit what Story Mode Gaming is. As you know, we have recently become part of the Karen and Joel Dialogue Options, one of the best podcasts you're going to hear. They're going to be focusing more on video games. Story Mode Podcast going to change what it is a little bit, but we'll still be supplying you with all sorts of news and goose. That didn't rhyme. Doesn't fucking matter.
You keep
please stop gooing all over the
I got a
podcast.
wet
say,
It's
you
after
keep
midnight.
drinking
I got a
from
wet
that-
tip.
You keep drinking from that
Got a
copper
wet
cup.
tip.
Yeah.
Hashtag wet tip. Look, before we do wrap up everything, I just want to thank everyone who's been a part of Story Mode Gaming this year. Felix, Adam, Lauren, Lorne, Sean, Chris, fucking our guest. We've had Damo, Clarky, Owen, Kyron, Joel, Simon, you guys. Okay.
Me, I'm Kyron.
It is, you are Kyron. What? You haven't, it's past midnight and you haven't turned
Spartacus.
into a pumpkin after midnight. Okay.
No, you don't know. My brain has. Don't
Yeah,
worry, it's
fair
gone.
enough. I mean, you did vote for Owen.
It's because
You
it's not
did vote for
midnight
Elden
yet
Ring as
in
number one.
Perth,
I was
so
gonna
there's
say,
still 3 hours.
we're
wait,
WA
Perth
time.
controls my concept of time. Oh fuck!
We do now.
I was going to thank everyone who's made Story Mode Gaming what it is this year. We went independent this year. We started our own thing. Again, want to thank Fan Critic for all the time they were supporting us. But we're on our own. We're that little boat out at sea. Okay, so please, if you
mean like Dredge?
Like Dredge, Game of the Year. If you like what we do and you want to help support us grow into bigger and better things in 2023, please tell your friends about us, subscribe to our podcast, shoot us a like, shoot us a comment, shoot us a follow, anything and everything, any support genuinely means the world for us. As I mentioned a few times, Dialogue Options and Story Mode Video Game Podcasts are on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcasting platforms, but the biggest thing at the moment is on Spotify, you can now give podcast reviews. So please give us a 5-star review. I'll kiss you gently right on the forehead. I was listening to different car and gave me this really concerned look. And
on the
we don't have a HR department, but I feel like I need to report you anyway.
I am the HR department. That's the thing.
I'll say it on the freshly dripped penis. It's fine.
What's the kiss of the penis between friends? And what a way to end the year. No, again, just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Everyone who's jumped into our Twitch at twitch.tv/StoryModeAUS. Confession Code Gaming. You're in the Twitch chat right now. You've been with us since fucking the Jurassic Park stream day, so thank you very much, buddy. But yeah, that's us. Again, if you want to follow us, see what we're doing, there's going to be a lot of changes being announced soon, so follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Hive. It's back, baby, at Story Mode AUS. Give us a follow, and you'll be first to know about all the exciting things we have coming in the new year. You can find me, if you would like to, on the socials at Jesse Spanner. Joel, where can they find you?
You can find me at JolieMac.
Karen?
You can find me at LemonManX.
And you can direct all your complaints to Simon?
At Elon Musk.
We've used that joke before at Keelan.
Absolutely. I know I had to. At Sci421.
Fantastic. Byron, Joel, Simon, thanks heaps this year. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor.
Thank
you for having us.
It's been
exactly.
It's been wild.
It's been fucked up.
Packs
and next year's gonna be better.
Wrecked and
okay.
Now let's go sleep for 2 weeks and platinum God of War.
Oh God, yes.
But no, we have a bunch of things. Love Letters is returning next year. There's gonna be a bunch more stuff on our YouTube. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's Story Mode Gaming. You can just search for it. We're there. You can actually see our faces sometimes. It's fine. They're fine.
Shout out to Wrecked.
But everyone who's supported us here, everyone who's listening right now, everyone on our stream, thank you so much. Stay safe, play some games, and we'll catch you next year. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.